The night falls, and the neon lights flicker in the intermittent electricity, like the breathing of a dying person. Jiangqing, this once glorious future city, has now become the ruins of an energy crisis. Only 1/3 of the street lights were on, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of tar and exhaust gas. The chimneys of factories in the distance spewed black smoke, as if mocking human powerlessness. At the entrance of the supermarket, a long line of people lined up to buy the last batteries. There were sounds of pushing and cursing, and some even punched each other, just to grab an extra bottle of water. Ye Chen was squeezed into the crowd, and his thin figure was almost submerged. He was an engineering genius at Jiangqing University, but after graduation he could only repair generators in a small workshop, and his monthly salary was barely enough to buy a bag of synthetic rice. The overalls he was wearing were washed white, and the pockets were stuffed with wrenches and wiring diagrams. Today, he wanted to buy some spare batteries and go home, but he heard a loud explosion from the end of the street, boom. Fires were blazing into the sky, and black market thugs were at work again. Run! The black market bastards blew up the substation. Someone screamed, and the crowd exploded instantly, with stampedes everywhere. Ye Chen was pushed to the ground, his knees hit the gravel, blood seeped out, and the pain was like fire. He got up with a grey face, hearing the cries of women and children and the roar of men. The aftermath of the explosion stirred up heat waves, mixed with the stench of burnt metal, making his stomach churn. The thugs burst out of the smoke. 5 strong men were armed with stun batons and homemade bombs. Their faces were covered with gas masks and their bodies were engraved with the black market's King of Energy tattoos. They laughed and swept away the crowd. The energy is ours. Anyone who dares to steal it will have his power cut off permanently. The leader, a bald man, knocked over a middle-aged man with a stick. The man fell to the ground, twitching and foaming at the mouth. Passers-by were running around, and some people knelt down and begged for mercy. "Sir, please forgive me, we have nothing." Ye Chen helped a little girl who had fallen down. She cried for her mother, her eyes full of fear. The thug's eyes were fixed on them, and the bald man came over with a grin. "Boy, a hero saves the beauty. Hand over the battery, or you will be electrocuted." He raised the electric shock baton, the blue arc sizzled, and the smell of ozone filled the air. Jeering broke out in the crowd, and someone recognized Ye Chen. "Isn't that Ye Chen? A college engineering genius? Huh, you can't even grab a battery, and you still want to be a hero? Get lost, trash." A fat woman said bitterly, "Yes, I heard that he repaired motors before, and he ran into the black market and peed his pants." The little girl grabbed Ye Chen's clothes tightly, trembling. "Brother, save me." Ye Chen's heart sank, and he clenched his fists, but was unable to fight back. He is just an ordinary person, with superpowers. That's just an urban legend, the black market controls those things. Despair came over him like a tide, and he could even smell the salty smell of cold sweat on his forehead. The bald man approached, pointing the electric baton directly at Ye Chen's chest. "Kneel down and call me." At the moment when the electric arc was about to touch his body, a strange heat surged in Ye Chen's body, as if his heart was ignited by thunder. His eyes widened, and a blue electric light erupted from his palm for no reason, buzzing like a long-suppressed storm finally erupting. Boom! A thunderbolt as thick as an arm sprang out from Ye Chen's hand, hitting the bald man directly. The air was instantly distorted, the lightning was as dazzling as daylight, and the roar was so loud that the eardrums of passers-by buzzed. The bald man didn't even have time to scream. His body was wrapped in electric arcs, his muscles spasmed, and his mask melted, revealing a distorted face. He flew 3 meters, hit the wall, and fell to the ground smoking. His charred body smelled of burning meat. The other thugs were stunned for a moment, then roared and pounced on him. "Fuck. He's a superpower. Kill him." One thug waved a bomb, and another stabbed him with an electric baton. But Ye Chen has already awakened, and his thunder and lightning powers are pouring out like a flood. He roared, opened his hands, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and the silver snakes danced wildly. Zila, boom. 3 lightning bolts struck down at the same time, hitting the thugs accurately. Each blow was accompanied by a loud bang like an explosion. Holes were blasted out of the ground, and gravel splashed. The thugs twisted and howled in the lightning, and turned into charred corpses one by one. Electric arcs jumped in their bodies, making crackling sounds. The scene was dead silent. Passers-by's eyes widened and their mouths opened in an O shape. Some people knelt down with their legs weak and murmured, "Oh my God. Oh my God, that's a thunder call. A superpower, a miracle." The fat woman had laughed at Ye Chen just now. Now her face was pale and her teeth were chattering. He was useless just now. Why did the thing suddenly become the god of thunder? Am I blind? A young man rubbed his eyes and screamed, "Look! There is still lightning in the sky. This kid is hiding too deep, pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger." The little girl hugged Ye Chen and looked up in admiration. "Brother is a Superman." Not far away, a cool figure lurked in the shadows, Ye Zhi. Wearing a black trench coat, she touched the ring with her delicate hands, her ice-blue eyes flickering in shock. "Thunder and lightning summons, the purity is so high, hidden among mortals. The black market is going to suffer." She raised the corners of her lips slightly, but did not step forward. Ye Chen gasped and stopped his hand. The thunder light faded. He deliberately pretended to be frightened and rubbed his eyes. Was that luck just now? The sky thundered, and it hit them. He picked up the battery dropped by the little girl and handed it to her, smiling awkwardly. "Little sister, go find your mother quickly." The passers-by were dubious. Someone whispered, "Is it really just a coincidence?" But the thunder and lightning came out of his hand. The fat woman trembled. "No. It can't be luck, that power, my legs are still shaking." Admiring eyes came in like a tide, but Ye Chen lowered his head and walked away quickly. The instinct of pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger made his heart beat faster. Among the embers of the explosion, he kicked a metal badge, shaped like an old pocket watch, with secret runes engraved on the surface. His tentacles were cold, and a strange feeling rushed into his mind. The picture flashed, the black market underground fortress, the giant energy core pulsating. Lu Ting smiled sinisterly. "I control the energy crisis, superpowers. Get out of here." Ye Chen was shocked. This badge is an undercover thing. The conspiracy of the energy black market is far beyond imagination. He put away his badge and slipped into the alley. Police sirens rang in the distance behind him. The pursuers from the Government Supervision Bureau had arrived. The black-armored motorcade roared towards him, and searchlights swept the night sky. Ye Chen gritted his teeth. Low-key investigation, first find out the details of the black market. He decided to hide his identity and sneak into the darkness. Just as he turned into the dark alley, the badge suddenly became hot and buzzed. A secret voice went straight into the mind, and a clear female voice sounded, "Mr. Ye Chen. I am Xin Yu, Government Intelligence Assistant. Your lightning summons has been locked and the badge has been successfully activated. There is a big operation in the black market tonight, and the energy core is about to be transferred. Are you willing to sneak in? We need you, to become an undercover hero." Ye Chen stopped. In the night wind, the badge glowed brightly, and the footsteps of the Supervision Bureau approached in the distance. Crisis is everywhere, and a supernatural war is about to begin. Ye Chen's heart was beating wildly, and the damp and cold air deep in the alley was like a cold iron clamp, clamping down on his lungs. In the distance, the engines of the black-armored convoy roared like wild beasts, and the dazzling beams of searchlights swept across the corners of the wall, sweeping out sharp blades. The badge was as hot as a soldering iron in the palm of the hand, and the buzzing vibration penetrated into the brain. The clear female voice sounded again, "Mr. Ye Chen, time is running out. The Supervisory Bureau has locked your location, and they regard those with awakened powers as unstable factors. Accept the mission, and the badge will provide disguised identity and transmission coordinates. Reject? They will arrest you first and question you later. Choose wisely. Xin Yu's voice was filled with a hint of smile. The badge is being activated. Send the sensor glove to your location and arrive within 30 seconds. This is a government-made artifact. Touching the target can read its mental memory for 10 seconds. Disguised as old customer Li Si, the auction is in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the black market, coordinates already sent. Sneak in low-key and steal information. Our captured assistant Xiao Li is there, rescue him, and we will join forces. The badge flashed, and the buzzing intensified. An invisible drone swooped down from the night sky, its engine as thin as a mosquito fly, and dropped a black glove, as soft as silk but heavy, and landed at Ye Chen's feet. The drone disappeared in an instant, and the sirens were close at hand. He swallowed, and cold sweat fell from his forehead, dripping on the badge, making a soft sizzle. The vision of the black market fortress flashed in his mind. The pulsating energy core was like the heart of a giant beast. Lu Ting's sinister smile echoed, energy crisis. That is my throne. Despair and anger intertwined, Ye Chen growled, I accept. Tell me what to do. The abandoned warehouse is located on the edge of Jiangqing Industrial Zone. The exterior walls are covered with rusty iron vines, and the air is filled with the smell of diesel and sweat. The two guards at the door were smoking, and the words, King of Energy, tattooed on their arms were twisted like snakes. They blew smoke rings and laughed at the beggars on the roadside, get away, you trash. I dare to approach the auction tonight and stun you. Ye Chen lowered his head and approached, pretending to be a drunkard, and stammered, old. Brother, I am Li Si, an old customer, buy some batteries and go home. The guard looked him up and down, laughed loudly, and a thin monkey-faced man kicked him. Shank, look at this coward. A college student? A loser who repairs electrical appliances, right? Last time your buddy came to buy batteries and we chopped off his fingers because he didn't have enough money. Get lost, we only sell big stuff tonight. Another fat guard spat at his feet, and the stench hit his nostrils. Yes, don't come here to eat tigers even if you pretend to be a pig, the black market doesn't support idlers. Ye Chen endured the humiliation, his knees ached slightly, and he suppressed the anger in his heart. He deliberately stumbled forward, accidentally, grabbed the thin monkey-faced arm, and the sensor glove quietly activated. Buzz, the image flooded into my mind, the memory fragments of the thin monkey face flashed, the black market leader was hosting the auction tonight, and it was a foregone conclusion to steal the city power grid blueprint. Old Lu Ting ordered that at 3 o'clock in the morning, the supernatural troops raided the South District substation, cut off the power of the whole city, and forced the government to bow. Ye Chen was shocked, but pretended to be stupid on the surface, letting go and retreating. Ouch, I'm sorry, brother, my hands are slippery. The thin monkey-faced waved his hands and rubbed his arms in confusion. Weird, why is this kid touching me? It's so itchy. The fat guard glared at him suspiciously. You trash, get out. If you dare to cause trouble, you will be electrocuted. The lights in the warehouse were dim, the diesel generators roared, and the air was as hot as a steamer, mixed with the smell of tobacco and blood. On the auction stage, a Biao, a gangster with a sinister face, was waving stolen energy batteries and shouting with a sinister smile, the starting price is 50,000. These are pure lithium cells snatched from the government warehouse. One of them can power your home for a month. There were 20 or 30 black market gangsters in the audience. The muscles on the tattooed arms were bulging. Some people were pushing and fighting, and curses were everywhere. In the iron cage in the corner, a young man, Xiao Li, was tied up with blood stains, his mouth was stuffed with rags, and his eyes were desperate. He is Xin Yu's assistant, and he knew it just now through mind reading. Ye Chen squeezed into the crowd, and his short figure was surrounded by tall and strong gangsters. A yellow-haired gangster bumped into his shoulder, almost dropping the battery, and yelled, "Fuck." Who are you? You're a wimp, you're blocking my way. The people around burst into laughter, and someone recognized his disguise, Li Si. That laughingstock who repairs electric motors. Huh, you were cheated last time when you bought fakes, right? Are you here to give me money today? A scar-faced gangster spat and taunted, look at his gloves, these rags. An engineering genius? He can burn out the wires even if he fixes a light bulb, so he can be a grandson in the black market. Everyone laughed, and Xiao Li struggled in the cage, with a glimmer of hope in his eyes, but he was kicked by a biao and groaned. The humiliation of suppressing his ambition was like a knife. Ye Chen lowered his head and pretended to be cowardly, brother, I just want to buy some batteries, don't hit me. But he sneered in his heart, the thunder and lightning power was quietly brewing, and his fingertips trembled slightly. A biao glanced at the audience and smiled evilly, whoever pays the highest price will get the battery. Li Si, you loser, get on the stage and try. The gangsters pushed him on the stage, and Ye Chen stumbled forward, deliberately fell down and grabbed a biao's arm, and the sensor glove activated for the second time. Buzzing, a stronger torrent of memories, in a biao's mind, the details of the black market power grid theft plan emerged. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Lu Ting's 50-strong fire force, equipped with electromagnetic pulse guns, went straight to the South District substation and blew up the main control room. The whole city was cut off from power for 48 hours. They took advantage of the chaos to rob the remaining energy bank. There was also a scene of Xiao Li being captured. He was exposed when he infiltrated and was tortured. Government undercover. Say. Who sent you? A biao shook his hand, his face turned pale, he rubbed his arms and glared, boy, what's wrong with your hands? Why are you touching me? The gangster in the audience widened his eyes, and Huang Mao screamed, look. Brother A Biao's face is pale, this loser is guilty of something. Scarface pounced on him, electrocute him to death. What a loser. Ye Chen pretended to be panicked and retreated, but in the midst of the chaos he took action in a low-key manner, raising his right hand slightly, the blue electric light in his palm flashed and disappeared, pretending to be a light bulb short circuit, and lightning threads as thin as needles sprang out, directly hitting Huang Mao and Scarface's ankles. Zila, their legs were weak and twitching, they fell to the ground with foam at the mouth, their muscles spasmed, and they made a crackling arc sound. The lights in the warehouse flickered, and everyone thought that the generator was malfunctioning, and screamed, electricity, electricity. Ghost. A biao was stunned, his teeth chattering, that was, thunder and lightning just now. Impossible, this waste. Taking advantage of the chaos, Ye Chen rushed to the iron cage, and the lightning microcontrolled keyhole melted the iron bars silently. Xiao Li's eyes widened and he trembled, are you the undercover agent that Xin Yu said? You have lightning powers. Ye Chen whispered, shut up and follow me. He helped Xiao Li up, pretending to be a drunkard and staggered out of the back door, and the gangsters chased after him, catch them. You loser dares to save people. Huang Mao climbed up, legs he was still cramping and his voice was trembling, that boy, the electric man is like a superpower. Brother A Biao, he is hiding deep. A biao chased him to the door, his face was ashen, and he murmured, it's impossible. When you touched me just now, my mind went blank. That glove, reads minds. Damn, this is a government artifact. Ye Chen grabbed the glove and put it on his right hand. Suddenly, an electric current shot through his nerves, and his fingertips were as sensitive as an electric shock. He pinned the badge inside his collar, and the halo of disguise flashed, and his face twisted for a moment, turning into an ordinary middle-aged greasy man, with a few oil stains on his overalls, like a regular on the black market. The sound of screeching tires of a black armored car approached the alley. He took a deep breath of the musty night air, ran up the fire escape, climbed over the wall and jumped into another dark alley, away from the pursuers. Behind him, the roar of the supervisory bureau soldiers echoed, the abnormal fluctuations have disappeared. Expand the search range. The night wind howled, and after Ye Chen dragged Xiao Li into the abandoned oil tank, a low-key strike of thunder and lightning stunned the two pursuers. When they fell to the ground, their eyes turned white, smoke came from their nostrils, and the smell of burning wood filled the air. Xiao Li gasped and stared at Ye Chen with admiration. "Brother, you are so amazing. Those bastards laughed at you for being a coward, but you turned you into a dog. Xin Yu was right, you were born to be an undercover hero." Ye Chen took off his gloves, rubbed his temples, his head was buzzing after reading his mind, and he pretended to be tired on purpose. "It's nothing, it's just a coincidence." "Come on, tell me, the black market's full plan." Xiao Li lowered his voice. "Thanks for the help. The black market theft of the power grid was a cover, and the real target was the Southern District substation. Lu Ting's superpower troops, with 3 systems, fire, water, and electricity, launched a general attack at 3 o'clock in the morning, cutting off the lifeblood of Jiangqing, and forcing the government to hand over all the power yuanku. There are 50 of them, equipped with the latest electromagnetic guns. We at the Supervision Bureau can't stop them." There was an explosion in the warehouse in the distance, and a Biao roared, "The whole city is looking for that loser Li Si. He has lightning and mind-reading artifacts, and he will be killed without mercy." Ye Chen's heart was shocked, his fists were clenched, and his knuckles turned white. The pleasure of pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger came to him, but he was overwhelmed by the crisis. Behind him, a vague ice-blue figure flashed, Ye Zhi. She touched the ring, locked eyes with him coldly, and raised the corners of her lips slightly. "Interesting, thunder and lightning and mind-reading, this man is worth joining forces with." But she did not show up. The night wind was like a knife, blowing through the desolate area of Jiangqing Industrial Zone, mixed with the smell of scorched earth illuminated by the firelight of the distant substation. Ye Chen and Xiao Li gasped and ran into the shadows, their footsteps smashing the broken glass on the ground. The clicking sound was particularly harsh in the dead silence of 2:55 in the morning. Xiao Li's blood-stained face was pale, and he gasped intermittently, "Ahead, ahead is the South District substation. Those beasts in the black market have already started. Look at the fire, the electromagnetic pulse gun is firing." Ye Chen squinted and saw high-voltage iron towers standing like the spines of giant beasts, blue arcs scurrying around, and the air was filled with the pungent stench of ozone and burning rubber. Explosions continued, the tower tilted, tongues of fire licked the night sky, and the roar of the black market special forces troops echoed, "Kill the main control room." Boss Lu Ting said, "The whole city is without power, the energy is ours." They sneaked close to the wall, and Ye Chen shouted, "After you hide the oil barrel, I will sneak in a low-key manner. Remember, I am still the cowardly Li." Xiao Li nodded, his eyes shining with admiration, and got into the shadows. Ye Chen deliberately hunched over, pretending to be a panicked passerby, and staggered into the outskirts of the substation, shouting, "Help, help. I am an electrician nearby. I heard the explosion and came here to have a look, brother, spare your life." Now the scene was a hellish scene, more than 20 black market elites, with tattooed arms to bulge their muscles, holding electromagnetic pulse guns, fire-type superpowers spitting fireballs, water-type jets and water blades cutting barbed wire, and electricity-type manipulating the power grid to backfire on guards. The leader was a man as strong as an iron tower, Xin Yu, an elite member of Lu Ting's men, with flaming red tattoos like flowing lava. He kicked the substation guard over and roared with a ferocious smile, "I will burn all government waste to ashes. This power grid blueprint will be obtained before 3 o'clock in the morning." Ye Chen's appearance was like throwing a stone into a lake, and everyone's eyes were locked on him. Xin Yu turned his head and laughed loudly, fireballs jumping in the palm of his hand, "Ha ha ha. Where did you come from, a wimp? Electrician? Look at your greasy gloves. Can you burn down the warehouse even if you repair a light bulb? Brothers, this pig's head is delivered to your door. Stun him as an appetizer." The surrounding elites burst into laughter. A thin man with a water attribute sprayed out a water blade and cut Ye Chen's sleeve. Bloodshot oozed out. He deliberately pretended to fall and knocked his knees on the ground, groaning in pain. "Oh, brother, please forgive me. I'm just passing by, don't kill me." The young man with the electricity system rushed towards him and stepped on his back. Electric arcs rushed in. Ye Chen's whole body twitched and foam came out of his mouth. Everyone laughed so hard. "Trash. That Li Si in the warehouse last time was so virtuous that you were able to crawl after being stunned by a biao. Get up and give money. Are you going to die at the substation today? Brother Xin Yu, burn him with a fireball." Xin Yu spitted thick phlegm, and the stench filled his nose. The fireball hung over Ye Chen's head, and the heat wave burned his face. "Tell me, who sent you? A government undercover agent? Burn!" Despair was like a tide, and Ye Chen's heart was filled with humiliation, but his fingertips were quietly numb. His thunder and lightning powers had been suppressed for a long time and were ready to go out. The moment the fireball fell, a ray of ice-blue cold light burst out from behind the flanking tower. Hiss, the air froze, and frost swept across like sharp blades. The 5 fire elites instantly froze under their feet, their flesh and blood cracked, and their screams were frozen into ice slag. "Ah, cold. My legs." Tinia's eyes widened, and the fireball deflected and hit the ground, exploding into a scorched crater. "Who? Frost power? Damn, government reinforcements." Everyone was shocked. Above the head, a cold and charming figure jumped out, Ye Zhi, with long straight black hair flying in the night wind, holding a silver-blue frost ring with her delicate hands, her eyes like cold stars. "Black market trash, freeze it into popsicles." Her ring glowed brightly, and the ice mist filled the air. 3 water-type people within 10 meters froze and fell to the ground, their skin cracked, and they made the sound of cracking ice. But the black market elites are brave after all. Iron Bull roared, "Kill the ice girl." Volley of electromagnetic guns. Buzzing, the blue light of the pulse gun swept wildly. Ye Zhi was unable to dodge and was shot in the shoulder, and the electric current rushed through her body. She knelt down with a groan, the ice shattered out of control, and the blood dyed the white clothes red. "Damn, there are too many people." The elites surrounded them, water flowed through her body. Blades of fireballs flew together, and Shaoli looked out from behind the oil drum, his face turned pale and trembling. "Brother Yi. That beauty is going to die. Is she a lone superpower?" Ye Chen's heart tightened, and he got up pretending to be panicked. "Female. Heroine, save me." He deliberately pounced on Xin Yu, and grabbed its iron arm with his right hand in a panic. The sensor glove buzzed and activated. A torrent flooded into his mind, Tinia's memory fragments, and Lu Ting smiled sinisterly. "The substation is just an appetizer. The internal auction invites the lightning boy Li Si. I will meet him in person tomorrow night and recruit him as a fire subordinate. The energy core is in the underground fortress. Behind the global crisis is my superpower empire." A bigger conspiracy suddenly emerged. The black market is not only stealing electricity, but also manipulating global energy. Tinia threw his arms, his face suddenly changed, he rubbed his arms and roared, "Boy! Your hand reads minds. Damn, he is that trash in the warehouse. He has a government artifact." The elite's eyes widened, and the electricity-based youth screamed, "Brother Tinia's face is pale. This pig's head is hidden deep." Ye Zhi raised his head. Shock flashed in his ice-blue eyes, and he stared at the faint electric light in Ye Chen's palm. "Thunder and lightning, mind-reading gloves. Are you?" Ye Chen growled, "Join hands. Kill them first." He stood up, his disguise collapsed, and he raised his palms fiercely. The lightning power exploded. Boom, dark clouds rolled in the sky, blue and purple thunder clouds gathered, and 10-armed thick thunder pillars fell from the sky, directly smashing into the black market's electricity-stealing device. Ziglala, the electric arc dances like a dragon, the device explodes into a fireball, the debris scatters, the iron tower is melted, and the smell of ozone rises into the sky. The 20 elites were the first to bear the brunt. The electromagnetic gun twisted and melted, the water element was evaporated into mist by thunder and water, and the fire element fireball exploded. They screamed like ghosts crying, "Thunder, Thunder God! Brother Iron Bull," he summoned thunder. "We are finished." Tinya's eyes bulged, his fire shield shattered, and the thunder pillar hit his chest. He flew back 10 meters and smashed through the iron net. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his muscles were scorched and twitching. Impossible, this wimp, summoning a thunderstorm. Boss Lu Ting, he is better than the legendary one, is 10 times stronger. My eyes are blind. The elites around him fell to the ground, their legs were weak, and some people couldn't get up due to smoke coming from their nostrils. Their voices trembled, "Oh my God. Just now, I was teasing him about fixing the light bulb, but now Tianlei is obeying his orders. They are pigs, he is a tiger." Shaoli rushed out from his hiding place, yelling with wide eyes, "Brother Yi is awesome. Destroy the group with one thunder." The elite zooms into corpses. Ye Zhi struggled to get up, her shoulder injury froze to stop bleeding, admiration and shock intertwined in her eyes, her lips Wei Yang, the lightning summons, is so pure. The gloves read minds, you are so hidden. You saved my life just now, we are happy together. Her ring flashed again, and the frost chains entangled the remaining enemies, freezing them into ice sculptures, and the crackling sound was clear and harsh. The climax was not over yet. Tinya got up, grinned ferociously and vomited blood. "Boy, you destroyed the stolen electrical appliances, but the boss Lu Ting personally invited an internal auction. Come tomorrow night, or the whole city will hunt you down." He detonated the bomb on his waist, and boom, flames shot into the sky, and he exploded into ashes. Ye Chen's heart was shocked, and the mind-reading conspiracy was overwhelming, but he readily came to him, pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger, slap the elite in the face. But the engine of the black armored vehicle roared in the distance, and the Government Inspection Bureau arrived at the scene. The searchlights were shining brightly, the fluctuations in superpowers are huge. Lock on the source of the lightning and capture the dead alive. The soldiers got out of the car and pointed their guns at the charred corpses at the scene. Ye Chen's eyes flashed, and he whispered to Ye Zhi and Shaoli, "Get out. They see me as an unstable factor." The lightning in his palm flashed slightly, pretending that the light bulb was short-circuited, cutting off the searchlight, and darkness engulfed the scene. Covered by Ye Zhi's ice fog, the three of them rushed into the sewer. Stinky water splashed, and the soldiers behind them roared, "The thunderbolts have escaped. Expand the blockade and capture them alive for interrogation." Shaoli gasped, his eyes glowing, "Brother Yi, your thunderstorm. 20 elites can kill you instantly. Tinyu, that bull ghost, I stepped on you just now, but now I can't even find the corpses. You are a hero." Ye Zhi touched the ring, her cold face blushed slightly, and her voice trembled slightly, mind-reading iron cow, internal auction. Lu Ting himself. A bigger conspiracy has been exposed. You are a man worthy of me following you to the end. The badge buzzed, and Xinyu's voice was urgent, "Ye Chen, good job. The substation has been saved, and the city's power grid is stable. The black market invitation has been intercepted, and there will be an internal auction tomorrow night. We will go there disguised as Li Si, and Lu Ting will come in person. We ambush. But be careful, mind reading shows that he suspects you are the Ace of Thunder. The underground energy core is the real battlefield." Ye Chen clenched his fists, his knuckles turned white, arcs of electricity jumped in his palms, and his eyes were like stars. "Come on, Lu Ting. I'm waiting for you to try the thunder and lightning summons yourself." At the end of the sewer, the dim light of dawn shone in, the crisis temporarily subsided, and a bigger storm was brewing. Behind him, the fire of the substation was raging, and the charred corpses of the elites were exuding the stench of feverish flesh. The workers passing by opened their eyes wide and murmured, the thunder will destroy the bandits. That useless passerby is a god descended to earth. The figures of Ye Chen and the three disappeared into the morning mist, and the legend of the hero quietly spread. The gray fog at dawn filled the sewer outlet of Jiangqing South District. The rotten smell of the stinking ditch mixed with the smell of burnt meat in the distance of the substation, making it so pungent that it made people sick. Ye Chen and the others crawled out, their wet clothes clinging to their bodies, their feet squelching in the mud. Xiao Li gasped, and his blood-stained face twisted into an adoring smirk. "Brother Ye, that thunderstorm, the sky is falling. That beast Tinia stepped on your back and shocked you just now, and now the corpses have turned to charcoal. The word has spread among the workers in the city, and the gods have come to earth." Ye Zhi stood firm against the wall, the frost-solidified wound on her shoulder cracked, her cold face was rarely red, and the lightning reflected in her eyes before dispelling. His voice trembled slightly. "Your summons, the purity is frightening. The government pursuers are fierce. Find a safe house first." Ye Chen nodded, the badge buzzed, and Xin Yu's voice was like a life-saving straw. "I have cleared the abandoned warehouse in the northeast corner. The crystal information is updated, the black market auction underground fortress. Lu Ting is here in person." Ye Chen, pretending to be Li Si, Ye Zhi pretending to be a buyer, and Xiao Li's logistics. Inside the warehouse, moldy wooden boxes are piled high, and the air is filled with the smell of rust and engine oil. Ye Chen sat cross-legged, thin threads of lightning slithering across his palms, and his headache felt like needle pricks, the sequelae of overloading the lightning power. He gritted his teeth and held back, feeling his gloves feel slightly hot. Ye Zhi handed over the ice-blue potion and touched his wrist lightly with her slender fingers. "Freeze the pain and save effort." The touch was cold to the bone, her eyes flickered. "We will join forces tomorrow night, I will cover you, and you will read your mind." Xiao Li's eyes widened and he swallowed. "Brother Yi, you too, are a match made in heaven. Those bastards in the black market are waiting to be killed by Lei Bing. Time flies, night falls, the neon lights in Jiangqing are like blood, and the street lights flicker on and off under the shadow of the energy crisis. The entrance to the underground fortress is hidden in an abandoned power plant in an industrial area. A giant fan roars and rotates, mixed with a low electronic buzz. Ye Chen was hunched over, wrapped in greasy work clothes, holding in his hand the black invitation card that Tinia dropped before he blew himself up, and stumbled forward. Two black market guards, with tattooed arms like steel, breathing heavily from their nostrils, one of them grabbed his collar with a grim smile. "Li Si. The warehouse waste that Tinia said. Look at you, you are such a bear, repairing wires and short-circuiting yourself. Where did you get the invitation card?" Tinia lost his play at the substation last night. Another guard burst into laughter, and the electric baton poked his chest, and the electric arc rushed in. Ye Chen deliberately twitched and fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth. "Brother. Brother Tinia, please give me a kiss. He said I have potential in the fire department, please take me in. Spare me." The guards widened their eyes and exchanged glances. One of them rubbed his head and said, "Damn, this pig head is really useless. Tinia's communication was cut off last night, and he might have been struck to death by the government's lightning. Come in, don't be embarrassed in the auction hall, Boss Lu is here, stay away." They kicked him in, and the hall laughed loudly. Tinia is blind. This trash is in the auction, it's a joke." The passage is as deep as a tomb passage, with flashing red lights reflecting the tattoo of the King of Energy on the wall, and the air is hot and smells of sulfur. Ye Chen lowered his head and walked forward, his heart filled with humiliation. Pretending to be a pig had become a habit, and thunder and lightning felt numb on his fingertips. The auction hall suddenly opened up, the underground dome was like the belly of a giant beast, the crystal chandelier shed blood-red light, and hundreds of black market buyers gathered, energy tycoons with oily heads in suits, tattooed mercenaries with supernatural powers, and even crystal smugglers with foreign accents. On the central high platform, the superpower crystal in the glass cover shines with blue and purple electricity, pulsating like a living thing, vibrating the air with a low hum. The host roared hoarsely, "The first thing. Boss Lu Ting personally gave it to me, a superpower crystal. One crystal absorbs the city's power grid, the source of the crisis. The starting price is 500 million. The audience was boiling, and someone smashed the table. "Fuck, this crystal controls global energy, black market monopoly," the government kneels down and licks it. Ye Chen shrank into a corner, pretending to be stupid, gnawing on the bread and scanning his eyes. Ye Zhi has sneaked in, dressed as a glamorous rich woman, wearing black stockings and high heels, and a frost ring disguised as a diamond ring. Her eyes met his and she nodded slightly. Suddenly, Xin Yu's voice rushed on the badge, "Ye Chen." The intelligence point was discovered. "I am trapped in the storage room in Area B. The black market patrol is approaching. Save me, or else I will be exposed." Ye Chen's heart sank, and he disguised himself deeper, staggering into the crowd, and, accidentally, touched the fat buyer next to him with his right hand. The sensor glove buzzed, a torrent of memories. In the mind of the fat buyer, Lu Ting smiled, "The crystal is refined by my superpower, implanted into the core of the power grid, the world is blacked out, and my army rules. Energy crisis? I control it." A bigger conspiracy exploded. The crystal is unnatural, it is the mutation product of Lu Ting's fire superpower, absorbs the Earth's electromagnetic field, and collapses society. The fat buyer shook his hands, rubbed his wrists and glared, "Boy. You have a flashlight? Read my mind? Good for nothing Li Si, get out." The buyers around him turned around and laughed, and a strong man with a gold chain kicked his calf, "Pig head, try touching me." The joke introduced by Xin Yu is like a monkey at the auction. Ye Chen pretended to fall, knocked his knees to the ground and groaned in pain, got up and, panicked, and grabbed the arm of another water buyer. The glove activates again, mind-reading fragments, the underground fortress blueprint flashes in the water system's mind, the crystal stone warehouse is in Area C, and Lu Ting hides in the core of Area D. But the alarm looms, insiders are at risk. The water buyer's face turned pale, and he screamed and twitched his hands, "Ah! There is something wrong with this piece of trash. His eyes, my memory has been sucked. Security, catch him." The patrolling superpower rushed over, charging up fireballs and water blades. The hall was in chaos. The buyer retreated and screamed, "The inner ghost. Boss Lu, kill him." Despair overwhelmed Ye Chen, his heart beat like thunder, and his pretense was on the verge of collapse. Ye Zhi's eyes flashed, she stepped forward with high heels, and shouted, "Everyone, this loser is my follower, and I will pay for the crystal. Don't be too interested." She touched the diamond ring with her delicate hands, and ice mist quietly filled her feet. The three patrolling people froze in their steps, their skin became frosty, and their voices trembled, "Cold, this woman's superpower." The ring flashed. The buyer's eyes widened, and someone's nostrils were filled with hot breath, "Frost girl." Just now, the trash touched someone, and she was protecting him. There is a ghost inside. Ye Chen took advantage of the chaos and raised his palm in a low-key manner, and thin threads of lightning sprang out like a spider web, silently entering the surveillance camera, sizzling. The circuit short-circuited, all the red lights went out, and the black hall fell into darkness, leaving only the pulsing blue light of the crystal. The patrol roared, "The surveillance is broken. Thunder and lightning interference. Catch the trash." But in the darkness, Ye Chen leaned forward and rushed to the C area for storage. His footsteps crushed ice slag with a crunching sound. The iron door of the storage room was ajar. Xin Yu was tied to a chair. Her cheeks were bruised and her lips were bloodshot. She gasped and whispered, "Ye Chen, there are 5 patrols, the leader of the fire department." There was a rumble of footsteps outside the door, and the fire patrol kicked the door with a fierce smile, "Love report bitch, tell me. Where is the Thunderbolt boy?" Ye Chen deliberately knocked down the shelf, making a loud noise, pretending to be panicked, help, help. The crystal fell, I picked it up. The fifth patrol turned around, and the fire element burst into laughter. This pighead again. Brothers, burn him. The fireball's heat wave hit his face, burning Ye Chen's face. He knelt down and begged for mercy. Brother, I'm a newbie of the fire element, introduced by Xin Yu, don't burn him. The fire element stepped on his back, and the heat seeped in. Xin Yu is dead. Substation, what a joke. Who did you touch to read your mind? The four people around laughed, and the electric batons and water blades approached. Trash, the surveillance camera in the hall just broke down, and it was Ye Zhi. Boss Lu suspected a mole, and burned it to ashes. The humiliation burned like fire, and the lightning on Ye Chen's fingertips was suppressed to the extreme. Ye Zhi fell from the sky, ice mist exploded like a tornado, and the door instantly became frosty. The legs of two water-type patrols were frozen and cracked, and their flesh and blood cracked into pieces of ice. They screamed and froze. Ice, ice girl. My blood is frozen. The fire-type leader glared and turned. The fire shield blocked the ice blade, and shouted, joining forces with the mole. Ring artifact. Xin Yu struggled, eyes bright. Ye Zhi, you. Ye Chen burst out, grabbing the firearm with his right hand. The glove reads the mind of the mole, the memory of the mole. Lu Ting's plan: after the auction tonight, the entire city will be blasted with crystals, the power will be cut off for 72 hours, and 1,000 supernatural troops will be summoned to occupy the core of the government. I am Double Face, a government informant, but Lu Ting knows about it and will set up a trap to get rid of you. The hook exploded. The mole was actually Lu Ting's bait. The fire type waved his arms, his face was livid, and his voice was trembling. Read your mind. You pig, are you the god of thunder, John Doe? Xin Yu is right, your eyes are blind. The other patrols had weak legs, and the young man with the electricity type had a nosebleed. I just laughed at him for repairing the light bulb, and now my hand's soul-sucking. We are dead. Ye Chen growled, Zhi, freeze. Ye Zhi's ring flourished, the ice chains were wrapped like snakes, and the fire shield shattered. He knelt down and wailed, it's cold to the bone. Boss Lu, save. Click, the ice sculpture was completely frozen. Ye Chen cut Xin Yu's rope with a thin thunderbolt, and the thunder pillar in his palm slightly exploded the iron door lock, and boom, fragments flew everywhere. Xin Yu stood up, rubbed his wrists, widened his eyes, and said in a trembling voice, you have a tacit understanding. One ice and one thunder can kill the patrol in an instant. Read the mind of the ghost, Lu Ting's army. The global crisis has escalated. Ye Zhi stroked his shoulder, the cold touch healed his wounds, and his eyes were brilliant. This is the first cooperation, perfect. You keep a low profile and monitor with lightning, I cover with ice, there is a connection between the two. The three of them rushed into the spar warehouse. Blue and purple spars piled up like mountains, electric light jumped and buzzed, and the air was filled with ozone and pungent. Ye Chen grabbed the sample and stuffed it into his arms, deliberately keeping a low profile, no big move, just a thin thunderbolt to seal the door. The alarm sounded loudly in the hall, and the buyer screamed, the ghost stole the crystal. Boss Lu, the smell of thunder and lightning. There was a wave of footsteps in the distance, and Lu Ting's deep laughter echoed, little friendly see, the game begins. I can't wait for your thunder and lightning. Ye Chen fisted the crystal, his knuckles turned white, thunder stars flashed in his eyes, and his heart surged with joy, pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, another wave of slaps in the face. But the shadow of the Legion is coming, and a bigger storm is coming. Xin Yu whispered, evacuate. The spar sample proves that the energy crisis is the Lu Ting spar virus. The government will believe it. Ye Zhi opened the way through the ice mist, and the three of them fell into the secret passage. Behind them, the sound of shattering ice sculptures and the explosion of fireballs were intertwined. The patrols wailed, the twin gods of thunder and ice. They stole the sample, Boss Lu, we are as stupid as pigs. In the depths of the black market, red lights flashed like blood eyes, the crisis expanded, and the heroic legend rekindled. Deep in the secret passage, the sound of water dripping from the wet stone wall was like a heartbeat, mixed with the roar of the pursuers behind him and the muffled sound of exploding fireballs. Ye Chen opened the way in front, and the thin thread of lightning tapped the trigger on the wall like a ghost's fingertips, causing a short circuit and the iron gate bounced open. The three of them hunched over and ran quickly, stepping on the water under their feet and splashing the smelly mud. The smell of ozone seeped out from the crystal samples in their arms, which was as pungent as burnt wires. Xin Yu caught up with his breath, his bruised cheeks twisted, and his voice was as low as a mosquito's chirp. There are more than a dozen fire reinforcements from behind. Lu Ting from Area D of Crystal Warehouse Alarm Company, retreat. Behind Ye Zhi's palace, ice mist filled the air like a white gauze, freezing the footsteps of the pursuers. Amidst the sound of breaking ice, someone screamed and slipped, the foot is broken. The ice lock is catching up. She glanced at Ye Chen's back, the corners of her cold lips slightly raised, but there was a hint of worry. The smell of thunder and lightning is too strong. What should I do if the black market dog's nose is exposed? The night wind howled in their faces, and they rushed out of the back door of the abandoned power plant. The neon lights in the river city were like intermittent pulses, the street lights flickered on and off, and passers-by huddled to avoid the cold under the shadow of the energy crisis. Ye Chen lowered the brim of his hat, pretending that Li Si's greasy work clothes were still stained with blood and mud, and he growled, Xiao Li's pickup point, the off-ramp of the Southeast Expressway. The badge buzzed, and Xiao Li's voice exploded like a savior, Brother Yi. The pickup truck is in place, step on the accelerator to the bottom. The three jumped into the car, the tires screeched against the asphalt road, and the engine roared into the foggy night. In the rearview mirror, the lights of a black market off-road vehicle were chasing after them like a will-o'-the-wisp, gun flames flashed and bullets grazed the roof. Xin Yu screamed and shrank back, they locked the license plate. Open fire. The thunder in Ye Chen's palm suppressed, and filaments rushed into the car's taillight circuit, flashing brightly and blinding the pursuers. The convoy lost control and hit the barrier, and the explosion flames illuminated the night sky. Xiao Li poked his head out from the driver's seat, his eyes as wide as copper bells, and his voice trembled, Brother Yi, you moved your finger and all the pursuers were blinded. This thin thunder is a magical skill. Those bastards in the black market just laughed at you, and now the car crashes and everyone is dead. The base is hidden in the abandoned docks of the old port area of Jiangcheng. The smell of sea rust is mixed with the rancid smell of diesel, and the sound of the Langpai Pier is as low as a war drum. After the three sneaked into the steel door, Xiao Li locked the door and gasped, and a silly smile on his blood-stained face reappeared, Brother Yi, Sister Xin, the hero triumphs. The crystal sample is obtained, and the government bureau is in a panic. Ye Zhi threw off her high heels, and the frost ring glowed. The light dimmed, and she slid against the wall and pressed her temples with her fingers, overload, dizziness. Ye Chen dropped the crystal sample and sat cross-legged on the steel table. The thin thunder threads in his palms traveled to seal the door lock. His headache felt like thousands of needles pricking him, and the afterimage of lightning in his field of vision. He gritted his teeth and held back, his voice hoarse, analysis first. Xin Yu, your equipment. Xin Yu nodded, professional fierceness flashed across his bruised face, and he pulled out the instrument case from the hidden compartment. The blue light scanned the crystal, and the data buzzed wildly. The smell of ozone in the air intensifies, the spar pulses like a heart, and the blue-purple electric light licks the edge of the table. The screen of the instrument flickered, Xin Yu's eyes widened, and his voice trembled, oh my God, amplify the power. Injecting a crystal stone doubled the purity of lightning and expanded the range of frost 10 times. But the side effects, absorbed the host's vitality and overloaded the body. The virus refined by Lu Ting was implanted into the power grid and the whole city's superpowers used it. Within 72 hours, they collectively collapsed, and his army was the only one. Xiao Li came closer, smelling the electric light in his nostrils, and his face turned pale. White legs are weak, fuck, is this thing the source of the crisis? Brother Yi, you are carrying it in your arms. Did your headache get worse just now? If it explodes, we will all be dead. Ye Zhi's eyes flashed, and she stood up and touched Ye Chen's shoulder. The cold touch was like a clear spring entering his body, freezing the sweat on his forehead. Hold it. My ice reliever is overloaded, and you thunder and lightning, don't be brave. The ice needle at her fingertips pierced the crystal, click, crack spread, and the pulse weakened. Xiao Li rubbed his eyes and his voice trembled. Sister Yi gave me a shot, and the virus was frozen. The two of them joined forces, a magical combination. Those auction dogs on the black market, you can't even imagine them in your dreams. Xin Yu took a deep breath and took out the upgrade module from the bottom of the box. Thin threads like silver needles pierced the palm of the glove, buzzing current rushed in, and Ye Chen's right hand burned like a fire. He groaned, and the memory torrent test flashed. The mind-reading fragments were clearer just now, and Lu Ting's smile was as sharp as a knife. The accuracy is increased by 30%, and the touch instantly locks the core memory to prevent backlash. Ye Chen, try me. Ye Chen grabbed her wrist, his gloves buzzed. Xin Yu's mind was open, government files, black market blueprints, and even the shadow of the orphanage in her childhood. She blushed and twitched her hands, her voice trembling. Read too deeply. All my secrets are exposed. You look like a pig, but you can read minds like a detective. Now when you meet Lu Ting's cronies, you can get the shady details at your fingertips. Ye Zhi sneered, with thunder and ice in her eyes, tacit understanding upgraded. Banquet plan, Area D, the core of the black market. Lu Ting held a banquet with his cronies to celebrate the success of the crystal stone auction. Ye Chen pretended to be Li Si's younger brother and sneaked into the market, my female companion. At dusk the next day, with blood-red neon lights, Jiangqing's high-end club Energy Summit was hidden on the top floor of the commercial district, and the glass curtain wall reflected the shadow of the power outage. Ye Chen, with his hunched back carrying a silver plate and a greasy apron wrapped around his body, pretended to be an upgraded version of John Doe, a black market worker and a survivor of Xin Yu's old team. He stumbled into the banquet hall, where the magnificent crystal lantern sprinkled wine-red light. The air was sweet with cigar smoke and champagne, and there were a large number of tattooed cronies, a strong man with a fire element clinking glasses with a ferocious smile, a succubus with a gold chain and water elements with seductive eyes, and a foreign crystal dealer with a heavy breath. There was an empty seat for Lu Ting at the long table in the center, and the tattoo of the King of Energy on the wall was pulsing like life. Ye Chen lowered his head to shuttle, the pan-fried steak oil dripped from the plate. He, clumsily, bumped into a fat confidant, and the sensor glove touched his arm. The mind exploded. Fat's mind, Lu Ting secretly ordered, after the banquet, all the crystals will be injected into the army, 72 hours to blast the power grid. Thousands of powers occupy the Jiangqing government building, the first step in the global energy empire. The inner ghost has been eliminated, but the twin ghosts of thunder and ice are lurking, hunting for them personally. The fat cronies shook their arms, spilling wine on their shirts, and kicked Ye Chen's knees with a ferocious smile. Pig head. You hit me when you are serving the dishes? You are the trash introduced by that damn Xin Yu. Go and mop the floor. The cronies around him burst into laughter, and the strong fire-type man sprayed wine. Li Si. Transformer survived the station. Look at you shaking your legs and short-circuiting the lamp. Boss Lu is having a wedding party, and the monkey is playing tricks in the palace. Ye Chen pretended to throw it, and the plate cracked on the floor. He got up with blood on his knees and begged for mercy. Brother, please forgive me. Brother Tinius said that I have a fire element. Brother, serve a dish of rice. Laughing like a wave, the banshee curled her lips. What a loser is worthy of us. Go bring me wine and try to touch me. Ye Zhi made up a seductive girl. wrapped in a black silk dress, and wore an ice ring with fake diamonds. She smiled sweetly and stepped forward, pulling Ye Chen's arm. "My dear, this fool is my pet, is it ruining your mood?" The confidante's eyes were fiery, and the strong man swallowed his saliva. "Ice beauty. The ring is genuine. Sit on my lap, and you will get a 10% share of the crystal." Her eyes were cold, and the ice mist condensed quietly at her feet. Xin Yu's voice badge whispered, "Mind reading is successful, shady details are entered. Lu Ting in the back hall of D area, the army list is in fat brain. Be careful, a Biao's cronies are watching you." Sure enough, a Biao in the corner narrowed his eyes, his tattooed arms bulged, and stood up with a sinister smile. "Li Si, substation thunder, smell. Why are you touching fat brother?" He held the fire blade in his palm, and the heat wave hit his face. The cronies in the banquet hall turned around and laughed. "Burn him. The good-for-nothing, the iron cow died unjustly." Ye Chen's heart was filled with humiliation, and he had a faint headache. He was playing the role of a pig to the extreme, and his fingertips were numb. He knelt down and held his head. "Brother A Biao, I served the plate, and didn't touch it. Please forgive me." A Biao approached with a ferocious smile, slashed with the fire blade, the heat burned his face and blistered, the cronies around him widened their eyes in anticipation of blood. "Burn into pig's trotters. Boss Lu loves to watch." Desperate, Ye Zhi's ring flashed slightly, and the ice mist was about to appear, but his sight was blocked by his cronies. Ye Chen burst out, and grabbed a Biao's wrist with his right hand in a panic. The glove was upgraded and buzzed, and mind reading was like a flood. A Biao's memory. Lu Ting's fire power mutates, the crystal absorbs the Earth's magnetic field, the non-virus is a living body. There is a mutiny at the banquet, foreign forces in the army rebel, and they grab the crystal to dominate. The hook explodes, rebellion is looming. A Biao's face turned pale, and he twitched his hands and screamed, "I read my mind. The pig glove artifact. Brothers, he is the thunder god Li Si." The fire blade slashed wildly, and his cronies fled in shock. "The ghost. A Biao can't burn him, his wrists are scorched with electricity." Ye Chen counterattacked in a low-key manner, and thin thunder threads silently entered a Biao's meridians like a rain of needles, sizzling. He twitched and knelt down, the fire blade was extinguished and foaming at the mouth. "Thunder penetrates to the bones. My fire is suffocating." The henchman's legs were weak, and the banshee screamed with blood from her nose. "I just laughed at the pig head, and now a Biao is kneeling and licking the ground. This thin thunder is crushing at every level." Xiao Li's logistics monitoring badge said urgently, "Brother Yi. Defeat the assassination, low-key god." "But the hall door is open, Lu Ting is here." The banquet hall door burst open, and Lu Ting appeared, a tall figure like a mountain, a fiery red suit reflecting the blood, a fire dragon circling in the palm of his hand steaming the air with heat, the smell of cigars and sulfur hitting his nose. He squinted his eyes and scanned, and his voice was as low as thunder. "Little friendly C, the game has been upgraded. A Biao is useless. Your fine thunder is as pure as my crystal." The confidante's eyes widened, and his voice trembled. "Boss, this pig is second to a Biao. Lei Si cuts off the fire veins, and his head pain overload is still stable." Suddenly, a foreign crystal dealer burst out in the corner of the hall, and shot Lu Ting with a water blade like a shark spear, shouting, "Rebel! The crystal belongs to us, and the global power outage will be yours to keep." The banquet hall was in chaos, the cronies screamed and dodged, and the water waves hit the table glass and exploded. Lu Ting laughed loudly. The fire dragon swallowed the water blade, and the steam exploded like mist. "It was hot and pungent, traitor. Living crystal, absorbing your superpowers." He swept the hall with a wave of fire, and his cronies knelt down with blistered skin and wailed, "The boss's strength is God. The water dealer has been evaporated." Ye Chen's heart sank, his headache worsened, and the stone side effects faintly resonated. He pulled Ye Zhi and whispered, cover, withdraw. The foreshadowing of rebellion, internal strife in the legion. But the remnants of the water dealer locked onto him, and thrust the water blade straight at him, Thunder Pig, hand over the spar. As a last resort, Ye Chen was forced to reveal his small body. The thunder column in his palm exploded slightly, with a diameter only as thick as a fist but pure white, dazzling, boom, the water blade vaporized, the water dealer's chest was charred and fell, and the aftertaste of the arc filled the air. There was deathly silence in the hall, and his nostrils were smoldering, and he glared, Thunder Pillar, wave your little hand, steam water cellar. Level up, overload and headshot. Lu Ting's eyes flashed, the fire dragon locked on Ye Chen, laughter echoed, what a thunder. The banquet climaxes, the pursuit begins. But remember, in 72 hours, Jiangqing fell, your thunder and lightning. I will take it. Ye Zhi. The ice locks opened the way, and the three of them fled, followed by waves of fire, and the confidants wailed, Boss gods have escaped again. Boss Lu, the army has rebelled, foreign dogs are snatching the crystals, and the global crisis is ahead of schedule. In the night wind, Ye Chen fisted his gloves, feeling mixed with joy and worry. The slap in the face escalated, but with the foreshadowing of the living crystals, Lu Ting's fire dragon strength, a big storm will swallow up the city. The night wind was like a knife cutting into the face, mixed with the pungent smell of burnt rubber and blood. The pickup truck's engine roared out of the business district, and the tires crunched against the neon debris. Ye Chen leaned half of his body out of the car, his eyes were like lightning under the brim of his hat, and the sensor glove on his right hand was feeling faintly hot. The fragments of a Biao's rebellion that he had just read were still churning in his mind, the living crystal attracted the magnetic field, and the foreshadowing of civil strife in Lu Ting's army. Behind them, the black market off-road convoy was like a pack of wolves, with dazzling lights cutting through the fog, gun flames flashing and bullets grazing the rear of the car and sparks flying. Shaoli was sweating profusely in the driver's seat and shouted, Brother Yi. Lu Ting's elite escort, 20 vehicles. Fire-based rockets are locked, and the remnants of the renegade water cellars are also chasing, and they are attacking. Ye Zhi knelt in the car, her frost ring condensed into a white mist shield, and the bullets froze and bounced into ice cones. She gasped in a low voice, the warehouse in District D is close. So close, the crystal center is there. Destroy it, cut off Lu Ting's minions. The badge buzzed, and Xin Yu's voice exploded, Ye Chen, I hacked into the surveillance system, and the 50 slaves with special abilities in the warehouse are controlled by the crystal. The elite guard Brother Abiao leads the team, read their minds, I will upgrade the glove data and send it to you, and it will be locked when you touch it. The pickup truck swerved and hit the trash can on the side of the road. The metal twisted and screamed. The elite escort convoy was approaching. The leading Hummer jumped onto the shoulder of the road. A Biao's old fire-type strong man jumped out. The red glow of the rocket in the palm of his hand was gathering momentum. He roared with a ferocious smile, Thunder Pig Leo C. Escape from the banquet hall quickly, now grab the chicken. The old fire dragon sent an order to capture you alive, Shile, and feed you crystal stones to explode your body. The water blades of the remaining gang of water vendors on the flanks flew through the air like a swarm of sharks, splashing the asphalt road and causing the stench to evaporate. The passers-by around him screamed and scattered, and the power-off street lights flickered, reflecting their tattooed and distorted faces. Some people recognized the black market marks, and knelt down with weak legs and murmured, Energy devil, Jiangqing is over. Ye Chen's heart was burning with humiliation, pretending to be a pig with his plate kicked to the knee. The humiliation turned into heat, and the resonance of the crystal in his headache intensified. He growled and pretended to be cowardly, Brother, spare your life. We are small workers serving dishes. Brother Iron Bull introduces. The strong man burst into laughter, rockets whizzed in, and the heat wave scorched the air and distorted, a pig is still pretending. Brothers, let's have a roast pig feast. Desperation overwhelmed, rockets exploded at the rear of the car and flames shot into the sky. The pickup truck rolled and slid. Xiao Li screamed, "It's overturned." "Brother Ye." Ye Zhi Bingsuo grabbed the three of them and rolled out of the car. They slid 10 meters in the ice mist, and their knees were bruised with blood and mud. She gritted her teeth, "Overload, hold on." The guards formed a circle, and the strong men approached with ferocious smiles. The fireblade water guns were ready, and the tide of taunts came. A Biao kneels down and licks the ground in the banquet hall. "Now is your turn. The fine thunder is of high purity. The crystal will suck you dry." The wreckage of Xin Yu's pickup truck sprang out, with a bruised face and a fierce explosion, holding a spare instrument at Ye Chen. "I'll take over. Read the mind of the strong man and disintegrate the alliance." Ye Chen suddenly grabbed the strong man's arm, and his gloves buzzed to upgrade the precision lock. "Memory flood," Lu Ting personally said, "the core of global energy, the underground magnetic field well in Jiangcheng, the living crystal is absorbed into the heart of the empire." Xin Yu's old acquaintance with Ulung, and Water sold my information, her identity was exposed, and she will be killed without mercy. The hook exploded in the brain, and Xin Yu's face turned pale and her legs were weak. "Ulung, my brother from the orphanage." "Impossible." The strong man twitched his hands and screamed, reading the mind. "The pig gloves are deep, detective. Brother, he knows the boss's underground core." The guard took a step back in shock, the strong man's voice trembled and his eyes widened. "I just laughed at the pig head, now read the secret of the boss. Xin Yu is the evil one, Ulung sold her." In the chaos, Ye Zhi sneered, the ring flashed, ice mist swept the whole place like a white dragon, the footsteps froze, the water blade condensed ice shattered with a crisp sound, and the fire blade's heat met the mist and evaporated, white smoke pungent nostrils. Her eyes glanced at Ye Chen, and her voice was soft and cold, "Thunder." Ye Chen had a pounding headache, and the crystal sample in his arms pulsed and resonated, but it was pushed to the limit. Thunderclouds condensed in the palm of his hand, and filaments turned into storms, strengthening the summons of thunder and lightning storms. Zitzi, dark clouds suddenly gathered under the neon sky, silver snakes danced wildly and hit the ground, pure white thunder pillars were like 10,000 swords piercing the heart, the diameter expanded to the thickness of an arm, locking the escort convoy. The strong men stared wide-eyed, with smoke coming from their nostrils, and knelt down on their knees. Thunderstorm. The small pillar in the banquet hall, now summoned the thunder. The levels are crushed, the purity of the crystal is doubled. The first wave of lightning hit the Hummer, and the smell of explosive metal molten ozone filled the air. The charred corpses of the guards in the car popped out, and the screams echoed, "Boss, help." Thunder penetrates the bone marrow, and the fire power suffocates. The combined attack of thunder and ice shocked the entire audience. Ye Zhi's ice chain penetrated the thunder clouds, and the freezing thunder turned into a rain of ice and lightning spears, piercing the chest of the remaining water vendor, and the blood froze into red crystals and fell to the ground. Xin Yu took advantage of the chaos and touched a remnant soldier, reading his mind and finishing the attack. Ulung's location, guarding the warehouse in Area D. The rebel alliance collapsed, and he sold information to foreign countries. Ye Chen roared, "Charge the warehouse, save the slaves and cut off their sources." The three of them hurriedly ran away, with the guard AI behind them. The howling pursuit was reduced by half. Passers-by hid in the alley and poked their heads out, murmuring with straight eyes, "God of Thunder Ice." The black market elite knelt down and twitched. Jiangcheng's savior. The central warehouse of the black market in District D was hidden among the abandoned buildings. The iron gates were rusty and rancid in the sea breeze, and the warning lights flashed blood red. Guard Lang appeared, his tall and thin figure with flashing tattoos. The earth wall on his palms rose to block the road. He smiled ferociously at Xin Yu, "Old acquaintance, the girl from the orphanage sold information. Lu Ting will reward you with your head." Ulung's face twisted and screamed, "Exposed. Pig god of thunder, Xin Yu is a traitor." The earthen wall collapsed, and Ye Chen's thunderstorm hit the warehouse door. Electric arcs licked the iron door and melted, dripping, and the smell of hot metal hit his nostrils. The heaps of crystals inside are pulsing blue and purple like mountains. The eyes of the 50 slaves with special powers are empty. The pipelines on their bodies are sucking out life force, and the ozone in the air is mixed with the smell of rotten flesh. Ye Zhi's ice mist erupted, and the frozen pipes broke. The slaves woke up and coughed up blood. Ice has been released. Thunder God strikes the door, we are free. The guards rushed in, and at the moment of slap in the face, the remnant fire soldier who had just mocked Pig's head plate recognized Ye Chen, and retreated with weak legs, Li Si in the banquet hall. Thin thunderbolts cut off a biao, and now the thunderstorm destroys the warehouse. Boss Elite, it's all in your hands. Ye Chen. Without saying a word, the storm escalated and summoned thunder to penetrate the roof of the warehouse. Boom, the roof collapsed, the crystal mountain collapsed, and the blue and purple lightning flashed back and attacked the guards. They screamed, the living crystal explodes. It absorbs our powers and explodes. Ye Zhi blocked the road with a rain of ice needles. An old slave knelt down and touched Ye Chen's arm with a trembling voice, "Hero, the thunder and ice attack, save hundreds of lives. The black market center is destroyed, Lu Ting is crazy." Shaoli responded to pick up number 2 and rushed towards him, his eyes were as wide as lights, "Brother Ye, Sister Xian. Supervisor. Watch the live broadcast, thunderstorm ice spears, magical combos. The elite guards are scorched with corpses, the warehouse is turned into ashes, and Ulung is destroyed by mind reading. It's so exciting." In the night, the 3 people squeezed into the carriage and rushed to the old port. The slaves huddled and gasped, and the neon lights of Jiangqing reflected the sea of fire in the rearview mirror. The steel door of the base was locked shut, the waves crashing on the shore were as low as breathing, and the smell of rust and diesel was wrapped in the stench of iron and blood. Ye Chen sat cross-legged on the steel table, took off his greasy apron, and sealed the door with thin thunder in his palms. He had a headache like a hammer but gritted his teeth and endured. Take inventory. The crystal center is destroyed, the slaves are released, and the evidence is in hand. Heart, Ulung is my brother. He betrayed me and threatened to expose my identity. All the government files were sold on the black market. Ye Chen, my heart broke when you read him. Ye Zhi touched her shoulder, the cold touch relieved everyone's overloaded sweat, and the ring's light returned slightly. It hurts to betray an old friend. But we are closer together. It's time to upgrade. She took out the crystal fragments, pierced them with ice needles to weaken the pulse, and handed them to Ye Chen. Inject a small amount to purify the thunder and lightning, and tolerate the side effects. Ye Chen swallowed the tablets, and thunder exploded in his body. Thin threads with doubled purity were like living snakes swimming through his meridians. Shaoli came closer to smell the smell, his legs were soft and he rubbed his eyes. Brother Ye. After injecting it, it cuts the table like tofu. The headache is overloaded and it is stable, the body is divine. The black market elites mocked you as a pig, now you can cut off their souls. The fog returned, and the range was expanded for a trial launch. The steel room was frozen like a crystal cave, with a crunching sound. Her eyes reflected Ye Chen, and the corners of her lips raised. Thunder and ice have a tacit understanding, perfect. 72-hour countdown, Lu Ting's army is in chaos, we go straight to the core. The old slave nodded, his voice trembling, heroes, Jiangqing owes you. Half of the living crystal is destroyed, and the global crisis is alleviated. The rhythm slowed down, the lights of the base flickered dimly, the sea breeze whistled through the cracks in the door, everyone gasped and repaired, and the salty and wet smell of victory in the air was mixed with worry. Ye Chen leaned against the wall and closed his eyes, fisted his gloves, and felt joy in his chest. All the face-slapping elites were wiped out, the warehouse was in ashes, and the mind-reading hook was obtained. But suddenly, the badge buzzed wildly, Xin Yu's instrument flashed red alarm wildly, and the surveillance screen exploded. Government drones hovered over the port area, and the red laser locked the base. Xiao Li turned pale and jumped. Fuck. The Government Supervision Bureau is on the lookout. The slave release signal has been leaked, and they think we are the remnants of the black market. The drones and fire-type missiles are gathering momentum, and Lu Ting reported it internally. The lights in the steel room of the base flickered like a will-o'-the-wisp, reflecting the pale and distorted faces of everyone. The sea breeze poured in through the cracks in the door, mixed with diesel rust and the scorched smell of gunpowder in the distance. The helicopter propeller outside the door roared like a scythe of death cutting the night sky. The red laser beam pierced the fog like a blood thread. The straight-locked steel door shuddered. Xiao Li's legs went weak and he knelt down. He grasped the edge of the surveillance screen with his hands. His knuckles turned white and his voice trembled like chaff. Brother Ye, there are 3 drones, and the heat signature of the fire-based missiles is locked. The Government Supervision Bureau marked us, and the radar scanned our entire frequency range. Ulung's piece of shit sells information on both sides, and the coordinates of the base are all exposed. Slave release signal, they are black market rebels, missile countdown is 30 seconds. The old man with superpower slave huddled in the corner, his admiring eyes were wide and bloodshot, his throat was rolling and he murmured, "Hero, the savior of Jiangqing, are you hurting us now?" The government's superpower hunting team, the fire dragon bullet can melt steel dock, we are reduced to ashes. Xin Yu smashed the instrument box to the ground, blue light flashed randomly, her face was twisted with wet tears, and she punched the steel table, denting it and buzzing. "Ulung, my brother, he last remembered the government contact code. He is not just selling on the black market, it is Lu Ting who was undercover to the government, framed and silenced us. My identity file, the case is all open. Ye Chen, do you believe me?" Ye Zhi's ring's ice mist slightly condensed to protect the crowd, but she felt dizzy due to overload and her knees were weak against Ye Chen's shoulder. The cold touch mixed with the heat and made her sweat sting her body. Her voice was low and trembling, the inner ghost is still poisonous. There is no place to hide in the base, the drone's AI lock ability fluctuates, and even thunder and ice can't stop the fire dragon's combo. The air was as stagnant as lead, the badge alarm was as harsh as thousands of needles pricking his brain, Ye Chen's headache crystal resonated like fire burning his meridians, and the fine thunder that was doubled in purity roamed in the palm of his hand but was suppressed. The humiliation of pretending to be a pig overlapped with the despair of the government's manslaughter. He growled, grabbed the sensor gloves and put them on, the metal felt cold and warmed up and buzzed, locking, his eyes swept the crowd, internal and external troubles, first clear up inside her. Ulung is a double-faced dog, who will take his intelligence line? A middle-aged man in the slave group dodges, sweat dripping down his tattoos. He takes a half step back and hits the wall with his legs weak. His voice is dry, I don't know, hero, spare your life. When the warehouse was released, Ulung gave me the spar fragment and said to contact the government to beg for mercy. Xiao Li turned his head with wide eyes and a heavy breath, fuck. This guy just touched my instrument, and the monitoring was delayed by 0.5 seconds, the mole. The old man pointed at him tremblingly, yes. His eyes are empty and unresolved, the spar mind control remains, Lu Ting is an undercover agent. The middle-aged man knelt down with a pale face and kowtowed, and his forehead hit the steel floor with blood stains, misunderstanding. I am a slave, just trying to survive. Ye Chen took a step forward and used his gloves. Grasping his shoulder, a buzzing deep mind-reading flood exploded, memory fragments, Lu Ting's cronies whispered, after Alang's death, you take over and sell Xin Yu's position. The government's fire dragon destroys the base and blames Thunder Pig. The coordinates of the energy well are hidden in the black market and dark network. I will reward you with freedom. The hook is locked, and Ye Chen says in a low voice, Lu Ting is undercover, confirmed. The A Lang brothers line continues, you sell our whole family. Everyone sucked in the cold air. Xiao Li's legs went weak and he backed away. His eyes were as wide as bells and his voice was trembling, the mind-reading skill. I just freed the slaves and now I'm digging for the mole. Brother Ye's gloves are as deep as a ghost detective. Lu Ting's minions are hidden so deep. The old man's throat was choked. He swallowed and knelt down. The hero's eyes are like thunder and lightning, and you will die if you touch them. Xin Yu burst into tears but smiled cruelly. Alung's remnant, rejoice. Ye Zhi's ice eyes flashed with cold light, the ring clicked with ice and locked his legs, and the cold air climbed up the bone marrow and pungent cold smell. The middle-aged man screamed and twisted, exposed. Boss, please spare your life. Ye Chen was silent, and the thin thunder in his palms was like a living snake scurrying into his gloves. The purified silk thread silently cut into the heart veins, the sizzling electric light was faint, and the smell of burnt flesh and blood was like a barbecue. The base is dead silent, the sea breeze howls and the heat wave approaches outside the door, and the missile countdown red letters flash for 15 seconds. Shaoli rubbed his eyes and his legs trembled. Kill the ghost in an instant. Thin thunder penetrates the soul silently, and the head does not hurt but it is still stable. The government has to kneel down even if it comes. Ye Chen gasped to suppress his headache, grabbed the badge and cut off all signals. His voice was cold, hidden. Xin Yu hacked the government channel. Ye Zhi ice fog covered the heat source. Shaoli opened the Hulk secret tunnel. The black market underground passage is close at hand. Follow the slaves. Grab the map of the magnetic field well 72 hours ago. The steel door crackled and twisted. Ye Zhi's ice mist erupted like a white gauze wrapped around the base, the walls camouflaged with ice and rock, and the thermal imaging was completely blind. She bit her lips and overloaded her eyes with bloodshot eyes. Hold, thunder to cover. The drone missile roared and shot, the fire dragon's red light distorted the air and the heat wave burned her face. Boom, the ice shield shattered and exploded. Ye Chen's storm call lowered the thin thunder net to intercept. The silver thread was like a spider web sticking to the warhead. The imploding thunder and fire neutralized it, and the debris rain hit the abandoned dock with a clanging sound. Shaoli roared and opened the secret door on the floor, and the iron ladder went down into the black hole with the smell of dampness and rot in his nose. Underground passage. The abandoned mine tunnel of the black market leads directly to the depths of Area D, the blind spot of the government's radar. Everyone jumped in, and the slaves panted and followed. The old man touched the ladder wall with a trembling voice. The hero Lei Bing blocked the fire dragon. The gods of Jiangqing, the government killed the mole first by mistake. The helicopter light swept through the ice fog, and the AI voice cold machine echoed. The target heat source has disappeared, switch to deep sweep. The remnants of the black market, surrender. The underground passage is as dark as ink, and the sound of splashing water echoes when you step on it. The flashlight beam cuts through the fog and reflects the rusted rails and broken cement. The air is cold and damp with the smell of sulfur and rotting corpses. The sound of water droplets in the distance is like a pendulum counting down. Shaoli was exploring the way in front, his back was wet with sweat, and his voice was low. Brother Yi, Xin Yu's route map is to pass on the badge. The entrance to the black market is 500 meters away, avoid the government checkpoints. Ye Chen stood behind him, his gloves were hot and the blood of the undercover agent remained. Ye Zhi came close and touched his forehead with her cold palm. The mist of the ring soothed the heat in his head, and his eyes reflected the soft light of thunder. I have endured overload for too long. Lei Bing has a tacit understanding and supported me. The passage was narrow and cramped, and her body trembled slightly as she leaned against the heat. Sweat mixed with ice mist and white smoke evaporated, and his breath blended with the faint scent of blood. Ye Chen's heart softened, and he whispered, Alung's betrayal. Xin Yu is hurt, how about you? The corners of her lips were raised bitterly, and her voice was like ice silk. The old dream of the orphanage is broken. But you read our minds and protect us, and your emotions are locked. From the old slave, Lu Ting's power is not fire, but energy control. The magnetic field of the crystal transforms the entire city's power grid, and the black market center is destroyed. He personally sits in the underground well and controls the global crisis. The old man gasped in agreement, and his voice trembled and echoed, "Yes." The old monster can control the power outage by touching the cable, and Jiang City will collapse in 72 hours. His army dominates the heart of the empire. Suppression surged like a tide. The iron gate of the black market loomed at the end of the passage. The patrol lights of the tattooed guards flashed. A low voice of ridicule came, "The warehouse is in ashes, the elites are scorched corpses, the boss is crazy. Thunder Pig Li Si is rumored, Thin Thunder cuts off a biao, and now the government is hunting him, Ye Chen's eyes darkened, he took off his greasy apron and crumpled it into a ball, stuffing it around his waist. He pretended to be a crippled worker, staggering and lowering his head and muttering, "Brother Iron Nyo, spare your life, I'm trying to survive." Ye Zhi was invisible on the flank in the ice mist, Xin Yu's instrument was low frequency to hack the door, and Xiao Li dragged the slave to pretend to be a prisoner. The strong guard turned his head, and with a ferocious smile, he approached the thorn in the palm of his hand and said, "Pig in the end? Rumor has it that the thunder god in the warehouse is your brother. The boss will reward you with your head. Xin Yu's route map flashes the badge, turn left to avoid the sentry, the core map is in the server room." Ye Chen cowardly said, "Brother, I am incompetent," Xin Yu introduces. The strong man burst out laughing and grabbed his shoulder, his gloves buzzed to read his mind, fragments. The guards in the map room were lax, the boss personally led the army to dispatch, the countdown to the wellhead crisis was 48 hours, and the city's power grid was cut off. Lightning flashed in Ye Chen's heart, and Xiao Lei suppressed his voice, pretending to be in pain and wailing, "Spare my life." The strong man let go and turned around, "Get out of here, there is chaos in the house." Everyone sneaked into the server room, the blue and purple screen pulsed like crystal, and the map projection floated in the sky. Jiangqing's underground network was like spider veins, and the red dots of the magnetic well were flashing. The countdown was 48 hours, and the red mist spread throughout the city, with the note, "Lu Ting Energy Control came in person," and the army sealed the well. Xin Yu's fingers were flying and her hands were trembling, "Download the map. The crisis in the city has been exposed, the power grid collapsed and enslaved people with supernatural powers, Lu Ting's army was dispatched, and Jinko Qian was guarding." Xiao Li's eyes widened and he breathed urgently, "Fuck." Successfully sneaked in as a pig, pretending to be a pig head, mind-reading and stealing pictures. But the old monster took the lead, and the gods of thunder and ice couldn't suppress it. The old man knelt down and kowtowed, his voice shivering like a candle in the wind, "Hero map is in hand. The whole city is counting down, Jiangqing is a sea of blood. Lu Ting, the energy king, can control thousands of thunders when he touches the well, and we are doomed." Ye Zhi's eyes locked on Ye Chen, and she clenched the thunder hand in her palms. A low roar could be heard from deep in the passage, and the ground trembled with a rising roar. The heat wave seeped into the humid air. The crisis was like a black cloud, making everyone breathless. Ye Chen fisted the map data, his head hurt but he gritted his teeth. 72 hours turned into 48, Lu Ting came in person, pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger, thunder started. The iron door behind him locked tightly, the footsteps of the army surged closer like a thunderous wave, the rotten and bloody mixed energy buzzed, and the abyss of despair was bottomless. The footsteps behind the iron door were like a thunder wave, and the dull military boots trampled on the cement echoed like war drums, mixed with the friction of the metal armor and a harsh sound, and a low roar, "The server room is locked. The remnants of the thunder pig are hiding inside. The boss army chopped them up before sealing the well. They have no legs." The rotten bloody hybrid energy buzzed in the air like a chainsaw cutting bone marrow. The pulsating blue and purple screens of the server reflected the distorted and pale faces of everyone. Heat seeped into the face through the cracks in the door, and beads of sweat dripped down Xin Yu's neckline and pattered to the ground. The old man huddled in the corner, holding his head with his hands and his knuckles turned white. His voice trembled like a fallen leaf in the wind, "It's over, thousands of Legion guards, Lu Ting is here in person, each person's crystal stone increases their abilities, so what if we 50 slaves are freed from control? The hero map is obtained, but survival target. Xiao Li's back hit the server and it buzzed and trembled. His eyes were round and bloodshot and he breathed heavily. Brother Ye, the door steel is 3 inches thick, and the thermal scan is fully activated. I'm pretending to be a pig to read my mind. Now the pig pen is surrounded, and the army's earth spikes and fire blades are coming. Let's get rid of it before the power grid is cut off. Xin Yu's fingers were frozen on the instrument, and the blue light flashed wildly on her face, which was still wet with tears. She bit her lip and whispered with bloodshot eyes, "The dark network is completely blocked, and I can't stop the government's deep frequency sweep. Oolong's remaining poison, we have become black market rebels, broken sandwich biscuits." Ye Zhi locked the door with ice eyes, the ring mist condensed slightly but she felt dizzy due to overload. Her knees were weak and she leaned against Ye Chen's shoulder, the cold touch mixed with the heat and made her sweat sting. Thunder is coming, but the army is close, and the ice mist cannot cover the heat of thousands of people. Ye Chen fisted the badge, and the crystal resonance caused a headache like thousands of needles exploding in the brain. Thin thunder traveled in the meridians and burned back like lava. His mind flashed through the humiliation of the end, the blood of the mole, and the heat wave of the fire dragon. The psychological balance was tilted, rushing out of the dead end, enduring the headache, reading the mind and digging for weaknesses, maybe a glimmer of hope. If you play the role of a pig for too long, it's time to eat the tiger in the pig pen. He roared in a low voice. Xiao Li, the slave, pretended to be a prisoner and pushed the door to surrender. Xin Yu's low-frequency attack delayed the door for 30 seconds. Ye Zhi's ice mist enveloped my 3-man team and disappeared. Legion hungry wolves, I will be a lamb to lure, and I will capture Lu Ting's heart alive first. Everyone gasped, and the old man's throat rolled and his eyes widened. Heroes, 3 people broke through the thousands-man army. Reading minds and capturing prisoners is like a bag. Little Li's legs were trembling but he nodded fiercely, dragging the old man and waiting for the slaves to stand up and smash the door. Open the door. We surrender, the ghost inside the thunder pig has been eliminated, and the map is for the boss. The iron door unlocked, and for a moment when he pushed it open, a wave of heat hit his face with the smell of sulfur and blood. The passage was as wide as a mine, and there were hundreds of tattooed thugs standing there. The leading strong man stepped forward with a ferocious smile, and the palm of his hand hit the ground with a hammer, causing cracks in the ground. Prisoner. Where is Thunder Pig Li Si? The boss will reward you with thousands of crystals, chop off your hands first. Xiao Li knelt down and kowtowed, blood spattered on his forehead, and his voice shook like a sieve. The inner man blew himself up. Thunder Pig escaped from Area D, we didn't know. Spare your life. The thug burst into laughter like a wolf howling. The strong man grabbed Xiao Li by the collar and threw him against the wall with a cracking sound. He turned his eyes and saw 3 figures hidden in the mist behind his eyes. He approached with a ferocious smile, pigs hiding in the mist. I'm crippled, get out. Ye Chen took off his apron to pretend to be crippled and staggered in his gait. He lowered his head and murmured, with sweat dripping from his greasy face. Brother. I'm trying to survive, Iron Bull Oolong is dead, I'm incompetent. The psychological game was like lightning flash, pretending to be weak to draw closer, using tentacles to read minds, exploiting Lu Ting's weaknesses, otherwise the 3-man team would be in vain. The thorns in the palm of the strong man's palm spurted hot air, and he grabbed Ye Chen's shoulder with laughter. Pig head. The boss's army breaks in from the middle, and the wellhead is sealed for 48 hours. It's the end of you. The gloves buzzed and locked, and the mind-reading flood exploded. Memory fragment. Lu Ting's cronies whispered, the boss has supernatural energy control, relies on the crystal heart in the chest, and has a magnetic field source with a purity of 99%. It will destroy the heart and destroy the whole army's growth rate. But it will backfire when touched, and no one close to him will survive. The hook is locked. Ye Chen's heart was filled with lightning, and Xiao Lei suppressed his voice. He pretended to be in pain and wailed on his knees, "Brother, spare your life." The strong man let go and turned around and yelled, "Tie him down, I'll take the boss to the middle level." The middle-level black market is like an underground maze, with the cries of slaves in iron cages echoing and the jingling of iron chains, the energy pipelines buzzing and pulsing with red light reflecting blood stains, and the stench of rotting corpses is like rotten broth. The thugs pushed the 3 people into the iron prison, and the chains wrapped around their wrists were cold and bone-chilling. The strong man smiled ferociously, "Thunder Pig? Wait for the boss to judge, the Earth prison suppresses superpowers." An ambush was waiting outside the door, the red glow of rockets locked the door, and the earth wall bulged to seal the entrance. Overwhelmed by despair, the old man trembled from across the cage. Heroes can read minds, but what about thousands of people, traps in the middle, and crystal heart information? Lu Ting kills at close range. Xiao Li gasped and rubbed his wrists. Brother Ye pretended to be a god and succeeded in catching the victim alive, but the ice and thunder pressure thousands of people. Ye Chen's brain was in splitting pain, and the crystal backfired like a fire snake devouring its sutras. The psychological battle between heaven and man exposed the ultimate move to destroy the middle level. The government's deep sweep followed up with the double attack, endured the layout. The combination of ice and thunder broke through the defense line, protected Ye Xin, and reversed the situation. He whispered, pretending to be weak, led all the ambushed troops to come out. Ye Zhibing's fog froze the passage. Xin Yu was afraid that the pipeline was cut off, and my thin thunder exploded. Lu Ting's weak point was obtained, and the spar heart was destroyed at close range. For a moment, the desire to rise was suppressed, and 50 thugs from an ambush came out with earth-spiked fire blades. The rockets roared and the red light twisted the air and the heat wave scalded the skin. The earth wall bulged like a giant beast swallowing it. The iron cage dropped molten metal juice and ozone burned and hit the nostrils. Ye Zhi raised her ring, and the ice mist exploded like a white dragon. The rattling condensation channel disguised as ice rock, her figure was pierced with lightning spears, and the ice needle pierced the thug's shoulder. The blood mist burst open and cracked, and the cold smell was pungent. But bloodshot eyes crawled from the overload, and the aftermath of the rocket scraped her arms and opened her flesh. Hot blood dripped down and sizzled on the ground. She groaned and fell to the ground with weak knees. "Thunder, hold on." Ye Chen's heart was as sharp as a knife, and his psychological protection broke out. He couldn't lose her, Lei Bing locked in a tacit understanding. He removed the chain and cut the iron with thin thunder wires as silently as paper. He hugged Ye Zhi's side and caressed her wound. The ice and thunder blended to stop the bleeding. White smoke evaporated. His breath blended with the scent of blood and mixed with coldness. "I'll protect you and prepare my big move." Explosion, Yu protects the flanks. Xiao Li's eyes widened and he stepped back with trembling legs. Sister Yi is injured. The hero is injured with thin thunder threads, holding the ice to save the beauty, while the ambush soldiers are half frozen. The old man's throat was choked with sobs and he knelt on the cage. The ice dragon froze the passage. The thunder pig protects the beauty, a match made by gods. Side effects broke out, and the remaining thugs stared with wide eyes and trembled in a trembling voice. Frost white dragon. The frozen soil is as sharp as ice slag. A pig carrying a girl explodes with thunder. Is it suppressed by supernatural powers? The strong man smashed the ice with a hammer and said with a ferocious smile, "Kill." Ye Chen's eyes were steely. Cold, pretending to be a pig ends, thin thunder like a living snake scurries into the glove and doubles the purity. The silk thread silently cuts into the heart of the strong man. The electric light is faint. The stench of burnt flesh and blood permeates the air. He groans and twitches and falls to the ground with black smoke from his orifices, and his eyeballs explode red and white and splash on the ice. The old man screamed in admiration, "Kill the boss in an instant." Thin thunder penetrates the soul, silent as a ghost. The thug backed away in fear and hit the wall. The god of thunder pig, the energy is cut off, and the power is broken by 50%. Ye Chen charged up his ultimate move, hugged Ye Zhi and flashed through the channel, and the ice mist enveloped the team to blast the defense line. The fine thunder net blocked the rocket implosion. Thunder and fire neutralized the rain of fragments. The rain of ice and lightning spears penetrated the earth wall and collapsed, and the heat wave, cold smell, and mixed blood mist hit his nostrils. Xin Yu roared and opened the iron door. The middle floor is broken. The energy core front hall is 200 meters away. Shaoli dragged the old man to follow and breathed heavily. A 3-person team slaughtered 50 ice-damaged thunder protectors, pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger to the extreme. Lu Ting's weak point is the spar heart. It's amazing. The front hall looms at the end of the passage, with red mist pulsating energy wells and red dot projections floating in the sky. The countdown to 47 hours 59 minutes and 12 seconds flashes like bloody eyes, and the patrol lights of thousands of guards on the iron fence are dazzling. But suspense suddenly arose. The helicopter outside the hall shook the ground, and the black shadow of a government agent flashed in. The red laser beam swept through the fog and the cold mechanical voice said, "Agent of the Supervision Bureau, locking the black market center." Thunder ice wave confirmed, not the remnant, ally. The thug turned around and roared, "The government dog. The boss's trap is activated." The mechanism on the top of the hall clicked, and Lu Ting's deep laughter echoed like thunder. "Welcome, Thunder Pig." The Crystal Guard summons, the Shadow Thunder Beast. The giant beast roared in the black mist, and the thunder claws ripped out the air and the hot electricity hit the face, and the claw shadow locked the 3 people, and the crisis returned to the abyss. Ye Chen had a headache and hugged Ye Zhi tightly. Shile gathered strength and held a dragon in his palm. He suffered a psychological breakdown. The government intervened in the chaos. Lu Ting trapped the Shadow Thunder Beast. The crystal stone's heart was close to him, and a thunderstorm broke out. The old man's legs were soft and he knelt down with a trembling voice, "Shadow Thunder Beast." The old monster summons, with stronger powers. 3 heroes versus 1,000 beasts, the end. The red mist in the hall billows like a sea of blood. The red dot projection of the energy well pulses like the heart of a giant beast. The countdown to 47 hours 59 minutes and 8 seconds flashes dazzlingly. The ground is cracked by the iron boots of thousands of guards. The crystals on the tattooed arms are embedded in the flesh and the buzzing increases. The fire blades and earth thorns and the electric grid are locked together, and the stench of sulfur and blood mixes with the heat wave to scald the lungs. The Shadow Thunder Beast condensed into black mist. Its 10-meter-tall thunder claws tore through the air, and the sizzling arc of electricity hit its face with a hot and stinky roar. The old man knelt on the ground with weak legs. His knuckles were white, his throat was rolling, and his voice was trembling like a candle. Shadow Thunder Beast, summoned by the old monster Lu Ting, who eats people with supernatural powers like chewing beans. Thousands of guards are crazy about crystals, and government dogs are scanning with lasers, and we are torn into pieces. Shaoli's face turned pale and he hit the wall with a heavy breath, and his eyes were round and bloodshot. "Brother Yi, the hall is sealed, and the shadow beast's claws are locked. The red beam of the agent was accidentally injured, and the end is here." Xin Yu's blue light flashed wildly, reflecting tears, and she bit her lip with bloodshot eyes and screamed, "Trap activated." The magnetic field of the energy well has reversed, and the mind-reading gloves can't lock the chaos. Ye Zhi's injured arm dripped with hot blood, burning the ice mist. Her knees softened against Ye Chen. Her ice eyes reflected the thunder claws, but she held his hands softly in fear. "Thunder, ice can't hold the beast's shadow." 10 black shadows of government agents flashed in. The helicopter roared and thundered. The sky was shattered, and the rain of gravel was sonorous. The red beam laser fog sweeping machine said in a cold voice, "The Supervisory Bureau's E-level operation, locking the source of thunder ice, not the remnants of the black market. Identity confirmation. Thunder Pig wave matches the Darknet hero profile." The guard roared like a wave of wolves, "Go away, government dog. The boss's clone suppressed." The mechanism on the top of the hall was fully activated. Lu Ting, the shadow of the clone, appeared. The crystal on the tall tattooed chest pulsated with red light, and the ferocious smile echoed like the bones of a chainsaw. thunder pig, the crippled end plate slaughtered the middle level. The shadow thunder beast swallowed your thunder source, 5 crystal amplifiers exploded, Jiangqing's power grid was cut off, and the global black network dominated. The energy whip in the palm of the clone emptied out the heat wave and twisted, and the whip shadow locked the old man Li's iron cage, molten metal juice, ozone burned and hit his nose. Despair is like a mountain collapse, Ye Chen has a headache, the exploding crystal bites the fire snake and bites the brain, the meridians are wandering and burning, the psychological balance is tilted, the shadow beast's claws are close, thousands of guards' fire blades are fired, the government accidentally hurts, pretending to be a pig for too long, the pig pen is surrounded and killed, all the trump cards are reversed. He roared in a low voice, injecting fine thunder from the palm of his hand into his gloves, doubling the purity and locking the clone with a buzz. Xin Yu, read the body and mind. Ye Zhibing's domain wraps up the freezing crowd in the hall, the slaves release control to help fight, I summon the thunder formation to destroy the amplifier. The government, allies prove that the weakness of the crystal heart is shared. Everyone gasped, and the old man widened his eyes and trembled with a trembling voice, Hero, summons a thunder array to fight against thousands of shadow beasts. Reading clones to dig up global shady stories. Shaoli nodded with trembling legs, dragging the iron cage and breaking the chains, slave up. Brother Yi summons. She screamed blue lightning to neutralize the whip shadow, conspiracy exposed. Lu Ting's black network controls the global well, and Jiang City's first explosion of power outage and supernatural enslavement in the city. The man in black, the leader of the agents, paused his laser, and his mechanical mask flashed green, hero file confirmed. Ye Chen, the real name of the Thunder Pig, the source of the dark web map. Join forces, laser lock amplifier. The guard's ferocious fire blade fired a volley of red light that burned the skin, the earth thorns bulged and the giant beast swallowed the hall, and the shadow thunder beast's claws smashed into leaves, the ice mist cracked and the cold smell pungent. The bloody battle in the hall turned to hell, rockets roared and fragments rained down, the fire blade cut through the air and ozone burned the lungs, the earth wall pressed against the wall and cracked bones, the shadow beast's thunder claws tore the steel beams on the roof of the hall and collapsed, iron filings and sparks hit the face, and the smelly mixed blood mist of heat and electricity filled the air like rotten broth. Ye Zhi grunted, bloodshot eyes crawled from overload, the mist of the ring surged and the white dragon circled, she exploded into a field of frost, a cold wave swept through the hall, thousands of guards knelt down with frozen feet and frozen ice, the fire blades cracked and jingled with frost, the thorns and white frost sealed the bulges, and the shadow beast's claws were wrapped in ice and sizzled with electric light. Her knees were weak and she fell to Ye Chen. Hot blood stained his chest, ice and thunder merged with white smoke and steamed, thunder, the field supports the group, and the shadow of the beast is close. The old man's eyes widened, his throat choked with sobs, and he screamed in admiration, Frost Field. Thousands of guards and frozen dogs are like ice sculptures, and the gods are pressing behind the ice. The whole hall. Shaoli gasped and swung his chain to smash the ice slag guard, Sister Yi, the domain god, the guard collapsed by 50%. Agent Black Shadow's laser red beam swept the ice layer to assist, and the mechanical voice was shocked, Ice Domain E+ level, matched the hero Ye Zhi. Ye Chen's heart was as sharp as a knife, and his guard exploded. He hugged Ye Zhi, flashed his claws, shadowed the thin thunder wire net, intercepted the implosion, and neutralized the heat wave. He poured crystal fragments into his palms and the purity skyrocketed. He had a headache, thousands of needles and brain-exploding brains, but he pressed hard to gain momentum. He stopped pretending to be a pig with cold eyes, and let go of his heart and roared, Thunder Array, summon. He stepped on the center of the hall, and thin thunders scurried like living snakes, pulsating blue and purple formations emerged, buzzing and shaking the hall like a chainsaw cutting the earth, ionized ozone in the air pungent, and the top of the thunder cloud hall was condensed with black mass, rolling and dancing with lightning. The remaining guard stared wide-eyed and trembled, his feet weak and hit the ice wall, Thunder Array, Pig summons heavenly tribulation. The crystal stone amplifies and collapses, and the supernatural power backfires and burns the menstrual energy. The strong guard rushed towards the broken ice with an earth thorn and laughed ferociously, "Kill." Ye Chen's thin thunder thread silently cut into his heart veins and sizzled with electric light. The old man screamed and knelt down with his knees weak. Thin thunder penetrates the soul and kills instantly. The thunder array is stored, and the magical skills can overwhelm thousands of troops. The climactic release ignited, and the thunder array erupted. Thousands of thunders roared like the sky collapsing. Blue and purple electric pillars shot wildly from the center of the array, penetrated the roof of the hall and directly hit the 5 amplifier red light pulsating towers. The shattered crystal fragments rained down, the magnetic field collapsed and the buzzing was cut off. The shadow thunder beast roared and clawed at the heart of the formation. The thick thunder whip of the swimming dragon in Ye Chen's palm pumped out heat and electricity, and the black mist dissipated, exposing the beast's core to the pulsation of thunder. His thin thunder threads rushed into the core, bursting with heat waves, and the giant beast disintegrated. Thunder slag splashed and ice was sealed. Lu Ting's clone smiled ferociously and whipped the energy whip wildly. "Little pig, the formation can't break me." Ye Chen dodged his glove and touched the clone's arm to read his mind and confirm the weakness of pseudo-crystal. Fine thunder bursts into the chest, and the pseudo-crystal cracks, and the clone's phantom distorts and screams and dissipates. "I am here." The agent leads the laser to clear out the remaining enemies, and the mechanical voice worships and trembles, "Hero Ye Chen." Thunder Array S-level summons, destroy 5. The amplifier's reversal well exploded, and the global conspiracy file was entered. Oath of the Supervision Bureau, laser escort. Shaoli knelt down with his eyes widened and a heavy breath. Ye Zhi slaughtered thousands of beasts with his thunder formation, froze dogs in the ice field, read his mind and slapped his clone in the face. "God. Invincible." In the hall, there are mountains of scorched corpses and ice sculptures. The stench of blood and cold mist mixes with the ionized odor and slowly dissipates. The red dot countdown of the energy well flashes wildly at 47 hours 58 minutes and 45 seconds and the pulse weakens. The red mist recedes, revealing steel bones and broken walls. The little girl sprang out from the group of slaves, rescuing the heel in front of her, hugging Ye Chen's legs in admiration with tears in her eyes. "Brother Lei, the thunder will save the whole hall, God." 50 slaves with supernatural powers stood up after releasing their control. The old man's throat was choked with sobs and he punched. Hero Lei Bing teamed up to massacre the army. Lu Ting's black network is in the global well, and the government is hunting him down after being exposed. It's the end of him. Ye Zhibing's eyes reflected the thunder softly, and his injured arm holding his hand tremblingly. The white smoke stopped the bleeding. Thunder protector, invincible. Xin Yu hugged his chest with a panting instrument, and smiled cruelly on his bruised face. "Read all the minds, shovel the conspiracy files to the headquarters, you will protect you forever." Ye Chen's headache was relieved by the crystal purifying meridians, and he felt extremely happy, pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger to the extreme, slaughtering thousands at the middle level, locking himself in the weak spot, transferring the government alliance. Reversal is within grasp. The suspenseful hook suddenly appeared, the lights in the hall flickered and buzzed intermittently, the red mist in the urban sky in the distance skyrocketed, and the helicopter communication garbled code screamed, "The whole city is out of power." The magnetic field well is reversed, Jiangcheng's power grid collapsed, and the black market army dominates. A huge hole opened in the roof of the hall, and Lu Ting himself descended. 99% of the real crystal pulsating red and black vortex on the chest of a 2-meter-tall giant man tattooed on the chest. Energy control powers sucked into the hall. The residual crystals increased rapidly, and the power grid in his palm closed the hall. The hot smell hit his nose. He smiled like thunder. "Thunder pig, destroy the clone amplifier. I am here in person, and the heart crystal will bite back your thunder source." The whole city is on the verge of crisis. The global black network is activated. Kneel down or die. The claw shadow locked Ye Chen. The crisis escalated and the city was on the verge of collapse. The agent's black shadow lasers were locked together, and the mechanical voice was urgent, I am S++, support the hero. 12 points of reinforcements from the headquarters. The old man's legs were weak and trembling. Old monster, his heart is destroyed at close range, is he worthy of being a god? Ye Chen's eyes were burning with iron, and thunder surged in his palms. The power grid in the hall crackled and crackled, blue and purple electric arcs danced like poisonous snakes, the hot stench hit the nose and burned the lungs, and the blood mist evaporated and mixed with the scorched corpses and ice residue into rotten broth. A black tide surged across the city, and the red mist in the distant urban sky rose like a sea of blood swallowing the sky. The helicopter roared and intermittent rain of gravel fell, the street lights went out and exploded like a tidal wave of screams. Cars crashed into fireballs and black smoke rose into the sky. The smell of burning sulfur filled the halls with the wind and was pungent and nauseating. Lu Ting himself is a 2-meter-tall tattooed giant standing in the crack on the ceiling of the hall. 99% of the real crystal in his chest is pulsating in red and black vortices like a demon's heart swallowing up the remaining electricity. The energy control ability absorbs the number of scorched corpse crystals in the hall. The power grid in his palm blocks the entire hall and the heat wave distorts the air. He smiled ferociously like thunder pounding the bone marrow, and the claw shadow locked Ye Chen with the hot wind, Thunder Pig S-level slaughter clone. I am here in person, and the heart crystal will attack your thunder source. The whole city's power grid collapsed, and the Black Network army was dominant. 10 city wells around the world exploded at the same time. Kneel down and lick or fly away. The claw shadow tore through the air and sizzled with arcs of electricity, and the hot stench hit Ye Chen's face and went straight to Ye Chen's chest. The red beams of the 10 agents of Black Shadow swept across the power grid and cracked. The mechanical mask flashed red and reported, S++ suppression. Laser overload, our team holds 8 points. The leader in black knelt down with weak legs, his knuckles turned white and his throat grunted, Hero Ye Chen. I am absorbing crystals to increase my chest crystal heart. The whole city is on the verge of being enslaved. The old man's eyes widened and his legs trembled as he hit the ice wall. His voice shook like a broken candle, the old monster, the energy king swallowed the electricity in the hall, and the thunder and ice fairy wife also broke into pieces. Shaoli breathed heavily, blood dripped from his forehead, and the chain hit the power grid and sparks flew out, Brother Yi. The whole city is in darkness, tens of thousands of people are blocking the well, we are trying to catch the pigs. The little girl hugged Ye Chen's legs with tears in her eyes and screamed, Brother Lei. Eat all the monsters. Ye Zhi's injured arm was filled with hot blood and scalding ice mist, and her knees were weak against his ice eyes, which were filled with panic and bloodshot eyes, thunder. I am locked in the soul with the electric grid, and the ice field is shattered. Xin Yu's instrument's blue light flashed randomly, his face was bruised and pale, and he bit his lip with bloodshot eyes. The dark network is flooded by cronies, and the coordinates of the core room are deep, but blockade thousands of troops. Despair is like a mountain collapse, Ye Chen's meridians are swimming with dragons and thin thunder burning, he has a headache but his eyes are cold, and the thunderstorm in his palms is holding back and gathering momentum. He suppressed his outburst before he wanted to show off. He roared in a low voice. His undercover badge flashed black and cut off the power grid signal, disappearing into the hall. He pretended to be a pig and led in a low-key manner. After the agent's laser cut off, 50 old slaves smashed the ice sculptures to get crystals to replenish their energy. Shaoli protected the girl's passage, Xin Yu's cronies positioned themselves at the core, and Ye Zhi recovered from the ice mist, and I, the thin Lacey, opened the way. The whole city resisted, and the black net came from the middle level. Everyone gasped, and the old man's throat was choked with sobs and his eyes widened, the hero's hidden leader. Thousands of troops are blocking the way. Immortal low-key butcher. Shaoli nodded fiercely and breathed urgently, Brother Ye's plan, slaves. The lead agent's mechanical voice was shocked, hero gear upgrade to S, laser disconnection for escort. Ye Zhi's soft eyes held his hand, and the white smoke stopped the bleeding, and the ring missed slow recovery, thunder leader, ice follower. The three of them ducked and thin thunder threads silently cut through the power grid. The white dragon of ice mist circled around the hall and penetrated quietly. The mechanism on the top of the badge hall opened a secret passage, and the black and smelly blood filled the nose and the iron ladder clanged down. The middle layer of the blockade is like an iron prison. Thousands of remnants of the guard and the power grid are locked together with fire blades and earth thorns. The red mist pulses and the energy wells hum in the depths. The power is cut off and the black tide of outer legions is trampled by tens of thousands of iron boots. The ground is cracked. The howling of wolves and the sound of gunshots are heard in the streets. The streets are burning and smelly. Ye Chen and the other three pretended to be pigs and sneaked into the dark passage in a low profile. On the way, they met a patrol guard with tattoos on their arms and crystals embedded in their flesh. They roared and laughed ferociously, the remnants of Thunder Pig. Kill! The strong man's fire blade slashed through the air and the heat wave scalded his skin. Ye Chen's thin thunder veins pulsed through his heart and the lightning was faint and silent. The stench of burnt flesh filled the air. He convulsed and fell to the ground. His 7 orifices, black smoke, and eyeballs exploded and splashed red and white on the wall. The patrol companion's eyes widened and his legs were weak and trembling. A thin thunder penetrates the soul, kills instantly without a trace. The pig ghost is invisible. Ye Zhi's ice mist softly spat out the frozen corpse, crackling and clanking, and the white frost sealed his tongue and the cold and pungent smell. Xin Yu's fingers flew with the instrument and the blue light locked the memory of the cronies, Lu Ting's cronies, the mole and the old man's slave, selling the channel for crystals. The core room is 3 floors deep, and the coordinates of the breast crystal control console are exposed. The old man's face turned pale when he heard the news, and his knees went weak and he muttered, "It's not me, but the cronies hide the slave group, read the mind and dig." Ye Chen's glove touched the old man's forehead to read the mind flood, and the fragments exploded. The cronies hid Shaoli and pretended to be slaves. The dark network located the final core energy console, and the global well exploded simultaneously. Emotions boiling over, Xin Yu's bruised face grinned fiercely and gritted her teeth. "You changed the channel." The instrument hacked the dark network of his cronies, exposed the coordinates of the entire army to the agents, and the reinforcements from the headquarters were accelerated, but, the signal backfired and burned the brain. The instrument hummed and overloaded, and the blue electricity ran wildly. The purity of the glove doubled with thunder, locking the confidant, and the dragon swimming in the palm neutralized the backlash heat wave. Xin, the passage is open. The 3 of them passed through the blockade in a low-key manner, wrapped in ice mist and rushed up the iron ladder. The smell of blood and rust was pungent. The slaves followed the old man Li and stared in admiration and screamed, Lei Bing massacres in a low-key manner. The thin thunder silk god hides and kills, the ice fog is invincible, the god is worthy of defeating thousands of armies. The little girl hugged her legs with tears in her eyes, Brother Lei hides the god, save the whole city. The agent laser guard red beam swept away, the mechanical voice trembled, heroes penetrate S++, the whole city resists the file, reinforcements are 6 points. A hook suddenly appeared in front of the door of the core room. The red light of the 3-story steel door pulsated like the buzzing of the magic eye. Thousands of guard grids, fire blades and earth walls were triple blocked. The heat wave and the stench of blood mixed into hellish soup. Lu Ting's superpower was fully activated. The red and black vortex of the chest crystals sucked in the hull's power increase S+++. The phantom was divided into 3 projections. The claw shadow locked the door and the hot wind pressed against it. He laughed ferociously and echoed, "Pig team is close to the core." Is this fully activated? The global explosion button is pressed, and billions of people are enslaved to the empire. The traitorous insider appeared, the tattoo of a middle-aged man in the slave group loomed, and the henchman smashed the earth with his palm with an evil smile, Thunder Pig. I sold Xin Yu's position to the boss, and the crystal reward was 10,000, and I will kill you to open the door. The earth thorns bulged and swallowed the hall, cracked the broken ice, and the fire blades fired a volley of red heat and burned the lungs. Xin Yu gasped for breath, his bruised face widened, his eyes widened, and he bit his lip with blood, the traitor. Brother Alung extended the line, you reported a mistake. Ye Zhibing's eyes were filled with panic and bloodshot eyes again, thunder. Fully suppressed, the door is sealed. Xiao Li's legs were soft and his nose was heavy, Brother Yi. The traitor's army, the end. The old man choked with sobs in his throat, a close confidant sold his soul, the gods are rebelling. The most exhilarating moment in the book is released, and the desire to flourish is suppressed before the ultimate explosion. Ye Chen's eyes were burning and he stopped pretending to be a pig, the badge was fully hidden, and the glove touched the ghost arm and the mind-reading flood exploded, the weak point of the core platform, the 99% purity of the breast crystal heart exploded back and forth. He roared, the ice domain wraps the door and freezes the crowd, Xin Yu's instrument hacks the door lock, the slave smashes the earth thorn, I destroy the crystal at close range. Ye Zhi burst out the ring, the mist surged, the E++ white dragon circled, the frost domain exploded, a rattling cold wave swept in front of the door, thousands of guards knelt down and howled with frozen feet, the frost of the fire blade cracked and jingled, the earth thorns and white frost sealed the bulges, and the inner ghost's earth hammer wrapped the ice and cracked, the cold smell pungent. Her knees were soft and blood-stained, but her ice-cold eyes worshipped, thunder, open the door. Xin Yu's fingers were stiff, blue lightning flashed, and the door crackled with red light. The smell of burnt instruments filled the air and she knelt down with breath, shovel, the door. The old slave Xiao Li smashed the ice slag with his chain and yelled, the ice god opens the way. Ye Chen ducked close to Lu Ting, the thin thunder thread silently flowed through the electric grid to neutralize the heat wave, the thick thunder whip of a swimming dragon in his palms twitched his claws and the black mist dispersed, he had a headache and the exploding crystal purified the meridians but pressed hard to gain momentum. Lu Ting smiled ferociously and whipped the energy whip wildly, causing a hot and smelly twist, a pig is close. My heart will swallow your thunder source. The shadow of the whip locked his throat and burned his skin to the point of melting. Ye Chen hugged Ye Zhi in a low-key manner, and touched the chest crystal directly with his gloves to read his mind and confirm, 99% purity of the weak point exploded. Fine thunder exploded into the crystal heart and flashed with lightning. The red and black whirlpool crackled and shattered, crystal shards rained down, and the backfire snake bit Lu Ting's meridians. He stared wide-eyed, grinned ferociously, and his legs were weak and trembling. His throat rumbled and he screamed regretfully, impossible, pigs read the heart. The global black network, the empire is shattered. The breast crystal exploded with a heat wave and blood mist evaporated. The energy control disintegrated and buzzed, the power grid in the hall dissipated, and the core room door exploded with red light. The villain was completely defeated. Lu Ting himself convulsed and fell to the ground. His 7 orifices, black blood, eyeballs bursting with red and white ice, and the stench of burnt tattooed meat filled the air like a butchered pig. His claws were unable to grasp the empty space in his throat and he choked with despair, Thunder Pig S-Class, fine thunder destroys the heart, I regret it. The wells of the Black Network are broken in 10 cities, the crisis is reversed. No. The three-dimensional shadow collapsed and thunder slag was scattered everywhere, and the self-destruction magnetic field was calmed down. Outside the hall, the city's power grid buzzed to life, the street lights lit up and a wave of cheers exploded, and the red beams of helicopter reinforcements swept away the remnants of the Legion. The man in black, the leader of the agents, knelt down and the mechanical voice worshipped and trembled, Hero Ye Chen. Destroy the heart of S++ at close range, reverse the global crisis, the Supervision Bureau will forever swear. Enter the S++ file. The old man's legs were weak and he knelt down with sobs in his throat and punched, Fairy Thunder Ice. The thin thunder penetrates the crystal and the old monster has a face of regret and despair, saving hundreds of millions of people. Shaoli breathed heavily and knelt on the ground with blood dripping from his forehead. Brother Ye is invincible. Destroy the heart of the empire, the pig eats the tiger to the extreme. The little girl hugged her legs with tears and screamed, Brother Lei, God, monster's corpse. 50 slaves with special abilities stood up and worshipped, Thunder God Ice Queen. The global shady eradicate, the hero establishes a new order. Ye Zhibing's eyes reflected the thunder softly, her injured arm trembled and the white smoke stopped the bleeding. Lei protects. Invincible family. Xin Yu, panting and bruised, smiled fiercely and hugged the instrument, mind-reading escort, you will always follow. The clock struck 2:50 in the morning. Ye Chen put on his gloves and badge, and his eyes flashed with lightning, let's intercept them. Black market, I'll settle the bill. Shaoli followed, and the two of them rushed into the night. Fires shot into the sky in the direction of the substation, and a supernatural war was about to break out. In the distance, the black armored convoy was approaching again, and Lu Ting's laughter seemed to echo in his mind. Come on, little mouse, let me see your thunder and lightning. Crisis was like a net, Ye Chen roared, and the arc of his palm jumped, preparing to reverse this energy catastrophe. Deep in the core room, the silence after the steel door burst open came like a tide, replacing the previous arc dance and blood mist steaming. The blue-purple residual electricity twitched a few times in the corner, then turned into sparks and rained down on the iron ground with a click. The stench of piles of scorched corpses was still hovering in the air, mixed with the cold and damp air from melting frost, which was pungent but no longer burning the lungs. The red dot pulsation of the energy well stopped abruptly, and the countdown number of 47 hours and 57 minutes dimmed like death. The red mist slowly receded, revealing the spar residue embedded in the steel walls. The humming and low humming gradually subsided as the distant sea of lights in Chengdu's resurgence faded. At the moment when the city's power grid was resurrected, the streetlights outside the window lit up like a galaxy, cheers rolled in from the streets where the black tide collapsed, car sirens blared, children cried and laughed, helicopter rotors clanked to sweep away the flames of the remnants, and black smoke rose into the sky but was cut into powerless pieces by a red laser beam. The smell of burning sulfur faded away with the wind, replaced by the freshness of the earth after the rain mixed with the smoke from the barbecue stall in the distance. The iron chain announcing the energy crisis was broken, and the dawn of a new order emerged. The thin thunder in Ye Chen's palm slowly converged, and the scorching heat of the dancing thunder dragon in his meridians turned into warm current nourishment. The headache dissipated like an ebbing tide. He lowered his head and looked at Lu Ting's charred corpse at his feet. The 2-meter-tall tattooed giant was now curled up like mud, and the red and black crystal heartbroken shards on his chest were scattered all over the floor. The black blood from the 7 orifices solidified into lumps, the red and white paste from the exploded eyeballs stuck to the ice slag, the claws dried up and scratched the ground, leaving scorch marks, and the last choked sobs in his throat echoed in the air. Thunder Pig S-Class, I regret it. The aftertaste of his desperate and sinister smile still lingered in the air, turning into the smell of burnt meat and slowly filling the air. Ye Chen's eyes were cold, but the corner of his mouth was slightly raised, and he felt as happy as a thunderstorm. The middle level slaughtered thousands of troops, the close-range thunder destroyed the heart of S++, the global black network empire was wiped out, pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger at its peak. At this moment, hundreds of millions of people in the city were freed from slavery, and he was the hidden god of thunder. The leader of the agents, the mechanical mask of the man in black flashed a green light, his legs were weak and he knelt down, his voice trembling like the grinding of old gears. Hero Ye Chen's S++ file confirmed. 99% of Lu Ting's chest crystal was destroyed by close-up mind reading, and 99% of the backlash occurred. The self-destruction magnetic field of the wells in 10 cities around the world was synchronously calmed. It was recorded live at the headquarters of the Supervision Bureau. I swear allegiance forever. The laser team overloaded and sacrificed 5 people. The city's resistance file was shared. Your thunder and ice skills are invincible. The 9 shadow agents behind him knelt down, the laser gun barrels were still hot and smoking, the red light in their masks turned green, their throats gurgled as they swallowed, staring at the pile of Lu Ting's charred corpses, their eyes burning with admiration. I am dead in seconds. The thin thunder enters the soul and the spirit is hidden, the hero establishes a new order, our laser is always escorting. The chains of the 50 slaves led by the old man fell to the ground with a clang. His legs trembled as he knelt down and his forehead hit the ice. His throat was choked and he fisted and shed tears, Thunder God Ice Queen. The old monster's heart bursts and regrets, the thin thunder has no trace. Killing thousands of armies, saving hundreds of millions of people from crystal control, I swear to follow the heroes to eliminate the remaining evil and build a new energy network. Xiao Li breathed heavily and blood dripped from his forehead. The chains clanked on the ground and he knelt down. He grinned and gritted his teeth, Brother Yi is invincible. The pig eats the tiger to the extreme, destroying the heart of the empire. From now on, the slave uprising begins. Xiao Li's chain smashes the remaining gangsters. The little girl threw herself into Ye Chen's arms with tears in her eyes, hugged his legs tightly with her little hands, and her childish scream turned soft and murmured, Brother Lay God. The monster's corpse stinks, the lights are on, the whole city is no longer dark. Brother Hidden God saves everyone, Xiaohua will always follow. Her little face was pressed against the corner of Ye Chen's clothes, breathing in the residual thunder stench and blood on his body, but she smiled like a flower, with pure admiration in her eyes twinkling like stars. Xin Yu panted and knelt down holding the burnt instrument, with dried blood on his bruised face. He smiled cruelly and bit his lips, the hero reads the mind and escorts. Yu's instrument hacks the door and exposes the coordinates. It backfires and burns the brain, neutralizes and purifies it, and will always follow the black net. The insider's trusted man hammers the ice and breaks the ice. Corpse, all the information is clear, and the map of the new order is drawn. Her fingers flew stiffly, and the remnants of blue light swept over Lu Ting's body. The dark network fragments were projected into the sky, the interlocking of the 10 city wells was cut off, the coordinates of the remaining gang members in the black market flashed, and the underground spider web of Jiang City was fully exposed. The hot blood in Ye Zhi's injured arm stopped, and the white smoke and ice mist slowly condensed and healed. Her knees softened and she leaned into Ye Chen's arms. Her ice eyes reflected his lightning and were as soft as water. She murmured in a trembling voice, Thunder Protector. The overload of the ice field shattered thousands of armies. Open the door to your home. You the S++ is invincible at close range, and the immortal companion will always be with you. Her ring breathed out mist, and the cold air wrapped around everyone's wounds and stopped the bleeding. The air was filled with the cool smell of mint, diluting the smell of burnt corpses, and making the soothing atmosphere feel like a spring breeze. Ye Chen lowered his head and held her hand tightly, pouring fine thunder into the ring to purify the ice source. The E++ level mist surged and stabilized, her icy eyes flashed with hot tears, and her throat gurgled closer, the Lei family, is warm. The slaves gasped at the sight, and the old man's eyes widened and his legs weakened even more, the gods protect each other to stop bleeding and purify. Ice and thunder combine to attack the new order, the hero's wife is unparalleled. Ye Chen smiled lightly and pretended to be a low-key pig. The black light of the badge faintly cut off the remaining dark network signals. The blue light of the sensor glove in his palm swept across the steel platform of the core room. He touched to read the residual flood of the energy control ceremony, Lu Ting's ambitious empire blueprint, the coordinates of the global crystal treasury, and the key fragments of the hidden black market treasury were exposed. He moved his fingers slightly, and thin threads of lightning silently entered the steel platform. The self-destruction magnetic field of the red light extinction control button was completely calmed down. The crystal fragments were sucked into the gloves for purification. The Meridian Thunder Dragon increased by 1 point, and its power was faintly S+ and was gaining momentum. The lead agent's mechanical voice reported in shock, heroes hacked the core station. The coordinates of the black market treasure trove were exposed. The red beam from the headquarters helicopter locked up the remaining party members. The S++ reward was thousands of crystals, the undercover artifact was upgraded, and the deputy director of the Jiangqing Energy Administration was awarded. Live broadcast globally, Ye Chen's Thunder God legend ignited. The helicopter ascended in the distance and landed outside the hall, military boots trampled on the rain of gravel, and the red beam swept away the last remnants. Wolf howls were intermittently, and the cheers became louder. The smoke from the barbecue mixed with the freshness after the rain mixed with the fragrance of victory. The chores at the scene were in order, and Ye Chen commanded in a low-key manner. The agents used the laser to protect the slave passage. The old man Xiao Li cleared the corpses and took the crystals to replenish energy. Xin Yu painted the remaining party network, and Xiaohua Ye Zhi waited for reinforcements outside the passage. I will sweep away the remaining electricity with my thin thunder. Everyone gasped at the order, and Xiao Li nodded fiercely and breathed urgently, Brother Ye's great plan. Chain the corpses to clear the corpses, and the crystals will replenish the slave army. The old man's throat was choked and his eyes widened, hero hidden leader. The thin thunder sweeps the lightning god. Hidden, the new order starts from the core. Xin Yu's fingers flew with blue light projection cobwebs, Yu Zun. The coordinates of the remaining 10 cities are locked, and the headquarters is swept in 5 minutes. Ye Zhi wrapped the little girl in ice mist and moved forward gently, the ring's cold air escorted the frozen ice. Childish laughter echoed, Sister Bing, Brother Lei's house, it's so warm and not cold. The black shadow agents lined up to sweep the floor with red laser beams, and the leader in black knelt down, hero upgrade, laser forever. During the cleanup, Ye Chen's glove touched the chest of Lu Ting's scorched corpse, and a flood of mind-reading residuals exploded. The coordinates of the ultimate black market treasure, Shadow Thunder Crystal Core, were hidden deep in the well, the blueprint of the global black network's reserve empire, and the essence of Lu Ting's S++ power were all absorbed. He quietly put away the crystal core fragments, the meridians and thunder sources danced to the extreme, his head was spinning as if he was ascending to an immortal, and his psychological achievements were overwhelming. Pigs eat tigers, treasures flow into the bag, my lord of the new order. The old man passed by and caught a glimpse of the blue light of the crystal core. He knelt down with weak legs and muttered, the hero touches the corpse to get the essence of S++. Shadow Thunder Crystal. The treasure left by the old monster, the immortal blessing to build the empire. The city's power grid has been restored, a sea of lights pours out of the window like a galaxy, the cars on the street roar again, children chase the shadows of lights and laugh, and the remains of charred cars are extinguished, and the water mist evaporates and refreshes. After the red beams of the reinforcement helicopters were swept away, the projection of the veteran from the headquarters floated in the air, and the machine's deep tone of voice worshipped and trembled, Ye Chen S++ hero. Against the global crisis, Deputy Director of the Energy Administration, priority for the Crystal Library, customization and upgrade of the Artifact Workshop, new order in Jiangqing you take it. Ye Zhi Queen's partner, Xin Yu's Intelligence Palace, 50 million viewers live broadcast, the Thunder God's legend will burn forever. The blue light is projected to sweep the crowd, and thousands of reward crystals are dropped into the bag, and the badge is upgraded with a black glow, and the whole city is invincible. 50 slaves stood up and saluted, all chains were removed. The old man waved his fist, heroes lead the army. Eradicate the remaining evil and build a network. The little girl hugged Ye Chen's legs and jumped, Brother Lei, Director, the God's family. Ye Chen smiled lightly and lowered his head. His eyes met with Ye Zhi's and they met in tacit understanding. The feeling of joy was like a sea of thunder flooding the body and mind, the crisis was reversed, the reputation, status and treasures were all collected, and the hero pretending to be a pig was at his peak. Xin Yu smiled fiercely and hugged the new instrument, a new network of Yu intelligence has been launched, protected forever. People gathered outside the passage, cheering in the cool night breeze, and the black shadow of the city skyline in the distance loomed with a pulsating red crystal whisper, Lu Ting, Thunder Pig S-Class, successor to the Empire, come. A new enemy is lurking, the legend continues to burn, and in the soothing aftermath, the road to the Thunder God begins. In the core outdoor passage, icy fog and white smoke filled the iron stairs, and the sound of blood and rust faded away from the sound of footsteps. Ye Chen led the team in a low-key manner. The blue light of his gloves swept across the wall and neutralized the residual electricity. The crystal core in his palm pulsed with warm currents and injected into his meridians. The power of the Thunder Dragon's circling increased, just like an urban youth touching a wire. He regarded the miracles in the eyes of passers-by as nothing. Ye Zhi leaned against her side, her injured arm white and foggy, and her ice eyes reflected the light softly. Lei's family, a new order, Bing Sui Jian. The little girl held her hand and jumped, her childish smile pierced the quiet night. Sister Bing, Brother Lei, don't be afraid of the bright lights. Shaoli carried a chain on his shoulder, the old man was behind the army, and the agent's laser wings protected him. Moonlight shone through the crack in the roof, the rain of gravel stopped, and the red light of the helicopter swept the floor. The reinforcements, black-clad agents, lined up to salute, and the machines roared, the S++ Thor is here. Global Archives, welcome. The leading veteran personally projected a handshake shadow. Ying Xiong, tens of thousands of crystals have been transferred to the energy department, the key to the treasure trove is opened, the Shadow Thunder Crystal Core Workshop purifies the potential of S++, the artifact gloves, badges, and rings are all upgraded. Jiangqing Department Deputy Signature. He is about to take office. The new order meeting will be held tomorrow. Hundreds of millions of people are grateful. The veteran swallowed in shock and stared at Ye Chen's palm. Thin Thunder destroys S++'s heart, pretending to be a pig urban youth. His magic skills are hidden from the public, and the Supervision Bureau will always remember him. The slaves gasped in admiration. 50 people knelt down and worshipped. Heroes are rewarded. The rebel army is here to eradicate the evil. Ye Chen's headache is relieved, the meridians are danced like a thunder dragon, and he is purified to the extreme, and the psychological feeling is soaring to the sky. The middle level slaughters thousands, the real person destroys the crystal at close range, the whole city is reversed, pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger is at its peak. The red point of the energy well stopped pulsing at 47 hours and 57 minutes, and the red mist receded, revealing the steel skeleton, and the new order began to appear. A black shadow loomed in the distant city sky, and the stronger enemy red crystal pulsed and whispered, Lu Ting, Thunder Pig S-Class, the successor of the Empire is coming. The crisis is lurking, and the legend of heroes continues to burn. The neon lights on the streets are like silver snakes dancing wildly, and the sea of bright lights reflects the context of Jiangqing's recovery. The car engine roars and restarts, the tire crushes the gravel and splashes the fishy smell of muddy water, and the smoke of cumin and chili mixed with the reopening of the barbecue stall hits the nostrils like a carnival prelude to a victory feast. Children screamed and chased the shadows of lights, passers-by's mobile phones flashed live broadcasts, and the giant projection screen on a high-rise building in the distance played a loop of clips of the decisive battle in the core room. Blue and purple thunder arcs tore the chest of an S++ giant, thousands of frozen corpses of an army of ice and fog collapsed in a landslide, energy wells were red and fog was receding, and lights exploded, billions of eyes were fixed on it, and the barrage was like a torrential rain. The god of thunder is invincible. The queen of ice. The black market empire is wiped out. The wave of cheers was rolling, but it stopped for a moment as Ye Chen waved in a low-key manner. Under the eyes of everyone, the thin thunderbolts in his palm silently flew into the roadside and broke the electric pole. There was a blue arc and it rekindled, and the street light steadily illuminated every shocked face. Oh my God, the street light heals itself. That young man is as easy as touching the wires, and he can hide in the city at night. The barbecue stall uncle's mutton skewers fell to the ground with a splash, and the oil juice splashed on the ground. He knelt down with his eyes wide and his legs soft, breathing heavily and swallowing the fear left by the burning smell. Just now, the live broadcast of Thunder Pig destroying S++'s heart, the deputy director is here in person. Old Han Barbecue is forever dedicated to the god of thunder. The diners nearby knelt down, their mobile phones dropped to the floor and the screen shattered. They yelled in admiration, playing like a pig hero. The Sea of Lanterns is restored and the chains of slavery are broken. We swear to follow the new order. Ye Chen smiled lightly and lowered his head. The thick whip of the thunder dragon in his meridians was nourished by the warm current of the shadow thunder crystal core. The S+ edge was gathering momentum like a volcano. He looked at the thousands of people kneeling and worshipping as if it were nothing. He held Ye Zhi's cold hands and moved forward. Fine thunder was injected into the ring to nourish and purify the E++ mist. The coldness wrapped around everyone's wounds and healed them. The little girl jumped up and hugged Ye Zhi's legs, and her childish voice pierced the night noise. Brother Lei repairs the lamp and lights it up, the monster will die forever. The lights in Xiaohua's house are not dark, Sister Bing hugs her warmly. Ye Zhi's icy eyes reflected the soft light on his side face, the white mist on his injured arm disappeared, her knees were soft and she cuddled closer, the cool breath of mint hit her face, she murmured and trembled, Leis, the Sea of Lights is yours, and the ice will follow forever. Xin Yu held the new instrument and the blue light projection cobweb expanded. Jiangqing's underground veins and the remnant party dens in 10 cities around the world flashed in real time. She smiled cruelly on her bruised face, heroes repair the streets, UNET locks the remnants, the headquarters is cleared with 5 points of red beams, my lord in the New Order Intelligence Hall. Suddenly, black mist rolled in from the end of the street, the pulsating whispers of red crystals turned into evil laughter, and more than a dozen black market remnants burst out from the sewers. The earth-thorned fire blades danced wildly and mixed with the hum of the magnetic field. The laser gun barrel swept the street barbecue stall and exploded oil sparks. The passers-by screamed and splashed mud and water. The pungent smell of burnt meat rekindled despair, the remnants are fighting back. The red crystal S-class successor, Thor is in danger. The uncle crawled to the ground with weak legs and cried, we just celebrated the light, and the dark tide is coming again. The old man's life is miserable. The children cried and held their heads, and the cheers turned into a wave of panic. The agent's red laser beam was overloaded, and the mechanical mask of the leader in black flashed an emergency report. The remaining party's Earth-Fire Magnetic S-level raid, the headquarters rescue is 3 minutes late, the protecting heroes are withdrawing. Ye Chen's eyes were cold, but the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and he felt so happy that his psychological desires were first suppressed. The rest of the party was ridiculing that the dark tide is coming again. Pigs eating tigers continues at its peak. He let go of Ye Zhi's hand in a low-key manner, and the thin thunder thread spread silently in the palm of his hand. The blue light of the sensing glove touched the street bricks and read the mind. A flood exploded, the successor of Lu Ting's empire, Thunder Pig's last order before his death, the crystal core retakes Jiangqing. The fingers moved slightly, the thin thunder whip disappeared into the earth's veins and pulled, the earth-thorned fire blade stopped in midair, and the enemy's eyes widened. His eyes and throat murmured, electricity, invisible into the body. The S-class magnetic field failed. The old man gasped and his legs trembled, the hero reads the weakness of the mind lock, the thin thunder and earth veins are hidden, the rebel army's chain smashes. After only 3 breaths of suppressing despair, Ye Chen exploded. The shadow thunder crystal core pulsated and surged through the meridians, the thick whip of the thunder dragon in the palm turned into thousands of blue and purple electric snakes reaching into the sky, the summons of thunder and lightning storms ran like neon in the city, the loud bangs tore through the night sky, the blue arc net covered the streets for hundreds of meters. The fire blades of Yu Dang's body were blackened and exploded in an instant, red crystal slag clanked to the ground. Eyeballs exploded with black blood from all the orifices, the magnetic field buzzed into sparks and rained down, and the smell of iron filled the air. The aftermath of the storm swept away the street lights and stabilized them. The sparks from the barbecue stalls were extinguished and the fresh oil smoke reignited. The city's sea of lights became even brighter like the Milky Way pouring down. The passerby stood up with his eyes wide open, his legs fluttered, and then he knelt down and choked with tears. The thunder and lightning storm destroyed the world and destroyed the earth. The remaining corpses were silent for a second, and the sea of lights will not be extinguished. The god of thunder raised his hands, and the river city will always be bright. The children stopped crying and pointed to the sky, screaming and laughing, "Brother Lei! Brother Storm! The monster stinks, the light will never go dark." The agent's shadows knelt down and the laser gun barrels were hot, and the robots were shocked and trembled. S++ hero ultimate move. The storm sweeps away the remnants of the S-file, the global live broadcast continues, the laser of the Supervision Bureau forever protects the new order. Ye Zhi's icy eyes flashed with hot tears, the mist of the ring burst out, the E++ field expanded, frozen corpses piled up on icebergs, the cold air wrapped in the residual electricity of the storm purified into a stable blue light. Her knees were weak and she threw herself into Ye Chen's arms, breathing in his thunder and bloody blood and turned warm. Thunderstorm protects the family. Freeze the remnants, the gods are invincible, and the sea of lights of the new order will always follow. The little girl hugged her legs and jumped with a childish smile, "Brother Storm. The little flower is not afraid, the iceberg monster is shattered." Xin Yu's fingers were stiff and flying, and the projection locked the synchronized red beams in 10 cities around the world. He bit his lips with a cruel smile. The hero's storm exposed the weakness, the Yu intelligence palace cleared the black network, and the remaining party flew to the new network. The old man punched 50 rebels and knelt down and hit the ice. Thunderstorm iceberg divine strike. The old monster's remaining party is destroyed, the hero grows S+ thunder god, and the empire is built to death. The reinforcements ascended and descended with red beams to clear away the last black fog. The veteran's projection floated and expanded, and the machine's deep tone of worship was distorted. Ye Chen S++ Thor. The street storm reversed, the deputy director of the energy department took office immediately, the crystal reward was doubled by 100,000, the artifact workshop was opened to purify the thunder crystal core S+++, and the gloves, badges and rings were customized to the urban hidden god set. Ye Zhi. Directly under the E++ Ice Queen, Xin Yu, the intelligence director, the old man Xiao Li's rebel army expanded by thousands. Jiangqing's New Order meeting, hundreds of millions of people around the world live broadcast thanks. The blue light projected on swept the crowd, tens of thousands of jingling crystals fell into the bag like rain, the black light of the badge was upgraded to be invincible in the city, the range of the gloves blue light was doubled and the mind-reading range was expanded to 1 kilometer, and the ring mist purified thunder and ice combined attack field was born. Passers-by gathered around to watch and knelt in the sea. The barbecue man passed the skewers tremblingly, deputy director, taste it. Thunder god Fu Jiangqing, the oil smoke celebrates the lights. Ye Chen closed his palms in a low-key manner, the thunder dragon returned to his menstrual flow and the warm current spread all over his body, his head turned to the extreme and he felt as if he had ascended to an immortal state, the black tide collapsed at the beginning of the crisis, the whole city was enslaved, the shadow thunder gathered momentum on the edge of S+ growth, the hero who pretended to be a pig was at the peak. His throne and reputation were all over, I dominate the new order. He led the little girl Ye Zhi forward, surrounded by people, the cool night breeze carried the aroma of cheering and barbecue, and the giant street projection screen switched, the blueprint for the new network of the energy department emerged, crystal stones were distributed from the public treasury, slaves with superpowers unlocked tens of thousands of people, laser escorts patrolled the streets. And the chains of the rebel army were transformed into steel guards. The veteran from the headquarters shook hands with his phantom, the hero grows up to be a legend. Against the backdrop of the global shady world, Lu Ting's ambition was shattered by mind-reading. The wells of the 10 cities were restored and the lights were on. You will lead the new era. The hall of the energy department is magnificent, with conference tables surrounded by high-level projections of superpowers. Ye Chen sits down as low-key as an urban youth, with a faint dragon floating in the palm of his hand, but the senior management gasps, the S++ file is here in person. Street Storm live broadcast, magical skills hidden in public view. The veteran knocks on the table and worships the machine. New Order agenda. The key to the black market treasury is opened. Shadow Thunder Crystal Core Workshop S+++. The Global Crystal Library shares Jiangqing's lead. The remnants of patrols in the Thunder Ice domain. Director Xin Yu's network in the Intelligence Palace locked out of the country. Director Ye Xiong, speak. Ye Chen smiled slightly and pointed at the projection. The spider webs of the remaining parties are cleared. The party is frozen by lightning, the treasures are rewarded, the slave army is promoted to the superpower guard, and there is no shady story in the new network. All the senior officials stared, their legs were weak, and their throats were grunting. God's plan is low-key. The Thunder God builds an empire, and the Sea of Lights in Jiangqing is a model for the world. Ye Zhi sat in the ice mist guard hall in a cool place. Xin Yu's blue light spider web exposed the red crystal pulse outside the country in real time. Shaoli, the old man, Li Wei smiled cruelly. Brother Yi is invincible, protected by the new network. Late at night after the meeting, the lights of the director's house were turned on. Ye Chen opened the door. Ye Zhibing's eyes were soft with candles. The little girl curled up on the sofa and fell asleep. Xin Yu's projection ended. 3 black shadows with red crystals outside the country. The successor of the Empire whispers, Thunder Pig S-Class, Lu Ting, come. Unet locks tomorrow's red beam. Old man Shaoli guards the outside world. The chains jingled, and the veteran communicated, Heroes rest, the artifact workshop is open S+++. Ye Chen held Ye Zhi's hand and warmed the thunder, and Lei Bing had a tacit understanding like home. In times of crisis, thunder seas grow, and you will always be with me. She cuddled up with tears and the scent of mint hit her nostrils. The warmth of the Lei family, the New Order lamp will always be bright. The night breeze blows, the streets are brightly lit, passers-by watch and cheer, the barbecue stall reopens, and the smoke fills your nose. Children point to the sky and scream, Thunder God is coming. The power grid is on. The monster is dead. Ye Chen waved in a low-key manner, and the street lights clicked silently with thin threads. Pull, everyone stared and their legs weakened. The hidden thunder repairs the lantern. The god raises his hand, the director is unparalleled. A sense of accomplishment filled his body like a warm current. He led the little girl Ye Zhi forward. The new order was beginning to appear, the black shadow in the distance and the red crystal whispered closer, and the hidden crisis of the sequel was quietly ignited. Outside the window, there is a sea of city lights and the Milky Way. The red crystal black shadow in the distant sky pulses closer. A whisper turns into a ferocious smile and echoes in the wind, Thor S+, I will take the shadow thunder, and the global black network is resurrected. New enemies are lurking. In the aftermath of the hero's triumph, the legend of thunder and lightning continues to burn. The new order of Jiangqing is beginning to stabilize, a sense of refreshment is like a storm flooding hundreds of millions of hearts, and the dawn is waiting for battle.